unapologetic, unadulterated, and uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the super fortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio. I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And the telephone number is 646-787-1933. 646-787-1933 is your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. Join us. Now, I gotta let you know something here tonight. Tonight, you are really only going to see a slightly toned down version of the Black Ayatollah. So, I gotta say that before we even go into this. Because there's only so much we can take. There's only so much we can tolerate. There's only so much we should tolerate. There's only so much that we should allow to happen. And I submit to you all tonight that, truthfully speaking, we've allowed so much to occur that has actually emboldened people to come out and speak against us. That's actually emboldened them. And I'm saying to you all tonight that if you want that to stop, then you're going to have to do what's necessary to make it stop. Emphasis on the words make. It's not going to do it on its own. You have to make it stop. Now, what you have to do is you have to realize when you are being played, when you are being utilized, because that's exactly what's going on here now. I got up this morning, and as I was perusing things, I'm shuffling through the emails. We're getting 7 a.m. sorted out. The first batch of 7 a.m. DVDs has sold out. We're currently in the process of going back and doubling the order so we can go back and try to redo that again. We're currently in the process of doubling the order now. Going to take about a week to get in the number of DVDs that I want. Going to try to get the 2-disc and the PAL taken care of all at the same time to replenish supplies, the 2-disc version with the extras, and the PAL version of everything. Trying to get all that knocked out all at once. Probably looking at a week to get that done. What we're looking at here, so you will stay posted. So, a lot that I've been dealing with over here. But, I did come across a post earlier today. And in all honesty, brothers and sisters, simply put, it set my blood to boiling. It set my blood to boiling. And before I get into it, all I really want to say to you first off is, did you really think they were going to make it this easy? I mean, did you really think that they were just going to sit back and do nothing? Did you really believe that they were just going to sit back idly, say nothing, and allow true black empowerment to rise in the 21st century? Did you think it was going to be that easy? Oh yeah. I mean, they're gonna try the old strategy of ignore you, pretend you don't exist, don't, quote, help you get any bigger. Yeah, the problem is, what if the person is able to get bigger with no help from you? Now what? Well, now you got to see if you can drive a wedge in there. Now you got to see if you can start dissension in there. Now you got to see if you can get that started. Those are not the tools of the powerful. Those are the tools of the powerless. Trying to see if there's something that they can do. Is there something that they can do to germinate seeds of dissent? White supremacy, when it wants to come after you, white supremacy does not come with their preachers. It does not come with their pastors. It does not come with their social activists. White supremacy, when they want to come after you, when they want to overrun you, when they want to dominate you, when they want to control you, white supremacy comes with one thing: it's dollars. Because the source of white supremacy's power is not religion for the ignorant and intellectually lazy out there. It's not its politics. These are all tools. The source of white supremacy's power, not a tool, the source of its power is its economy. And if you follow the money, you will always see where the power is. Always. Now, as you all remember, about 5-6 years ago, they went on a bit of a spending spree, trying to buy up as many black publications as they could, trying to march out as many black apparatchiks, entities that they had taken over as they could. And one of them was when AOL hooked up with Huffington Post, your good white liberals. They hooked up with Huffington Post, and next thing you know, Huffington Post announces that they were going to make AOL Black Voices a part of the Huffington Post site. Now, Huffington Post was relevant by itself. Black Voices didn't contribute anything, but Huffington Post wanted Black Voices to be a part of Huffington Post website. Why would they want that? They wanted that base. They wanted some place to start. Someplace. So Arianna Huffington, with her wonderful Hungarian accent, wanted to hit the ground running to expand her media influence by co-opting AOL Black Voices and the audience, meager, weakling as it is and was. You gotta start with a base somewhere. And she's like, AOL has been an absentee, negligent parent. We will get together on this thing and help boost this profile some. Now, AOL Black Voices was never anything but a white-owned avenue. They did nothing in the interest of black people. They never have, and they will not. That is not its purpose, as I explained to you all in the previous weeks. Their job, their only purpose, is to deliver a black audience. That's their job. Not to serve black people's interests, but to deliver a black audience. And that's what they've done. And that's what Arianna Huffington wanted from them. So I'm looking here today, and there is an article on Huffington Post, Black Voices. Now, this is not Black Voices anymore, though, really, people. This is Huffington Post, just under the banner of Black Voices, but it's Huffington Post. Big, huge headline. Dr. Boyce Watkins charges Lee Daniels with having a gay agenda. But you have to understand, this was on Facebook that you see the article. Huffington Post Black Voices has a like page on Facebook. And on this particular post, they have the article, but they have their own caption, their own comment above the article when they posted it. Says 4 words: "Give me a break!" Exclamation point. Give me a break. Yeah, it's that serious, people. It's that serious. They're letting you know. They're letting you know. Yeah, we've been watching you. We've been sitting back. Now, Dr. Boyce Watkins has been out here for years. He's been out here for years now. Why are they all of a sudden wanting to speak against him? Now, understand how white supremacy is going to work. As I've explained to you all, with the Obama strategy, with the black clergy strategy, white supremacy understands that black people are already hypersensitive and hypervigilant. Black people are super vigilant when it comes to racism. So if a white person says something cross-eyed, the moment they say it, we're on top of them. We recognize that. So what they do is they employ their own personal goon squad of pet Negroes. And if you are willing to sell your soul, then you can have a corner in Massa's house, so long as you agree to be Massa's mouthpiece. You will simply parrot the words. You will allow your face and your name to be used, but you will speak the words that he puts into your mouth. Not what you think, what he puts into your mouth. This is too delicate a task to be left to your feeble intellect. Now, it's written by somebody, I don't know who they are, named Sheena C. Howard. Author, this is what it says on Huffington Post. Author of Black Queer Identity Matrix. I'm not making this up. The person who wrote this article. Black Queer Identity Matrix. So this is the person who is trying to establish themselves as an authority on what we should be talking about. Oh, really? All right. It also says, and she's also worked on Black Comics, Politics of Race and Representation, Professor of Communication Studies at Rider University. I don't know. And see, they had Professor of Communication Studies. They had that all in lowercase letters. So I don't know if that's satire. I don't know what Rider University is off the top of my head. Not the way they got it here. This doesn't seem to indicate an actual place. But, okay. Let's just say that she is. Her article goes on, says here, the new hit show Empire. Now, did you notice how they started that out? By automatically giving praise and homage to Rupert Murdoch before we even get started. By telling you they try to make an ad populum phrasing. They try to phrase their initial onslaught in an ad populum manner. The new hit show Empire is 3 weeks away from the last show of its first season and has already stirred up some intense discussion, particularly in the black community. So before we can even get started, you are being told that this show is popular. So of course we should just agree with it because it's popular. Of course, naturally. She says the show is made of all the things a good drama is made of: sex, drugs, and mayhem. But of particular interest to me is the characterization of Lucius Lyons, Terrence Howard, middle son, Jamal, Jussie Smollett, and the treatment of Lucius as homophobic. This interplay between Jamal and Lucius allows the audience to see the coping mechanisms Jamal employs in order to survive in an oppressive society. Not only does Jamal have to deal with the homophobia of his father, but he also has to face the perceived repercussions of coming out as a gay man in the entertainment industry. These are things every gay and lesbian person, no matter race, can identify with. Now, before we go any further here, this uncouth barbarian female, barely above the level of animal status, and I think there's an argument to be made that she has not evolved actually beyond that. Now, do you notice what she does first? So she comes in, not a bad word to say about Empire. This is the way that propaganda works, people. Propaganda sets up a good guy and a bad guy, and it states it in absolutely no ambiguous, uncertain terms. It states it to you starkly, in black and in white. This is the good drama. This is the good guy, and we've set them up as the good guy. We're establishing this first, that they are the good guys. They are righteous. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that when we do what we're going to do next and make that turn, we've already established the good guy that we have absolutely nothing bad to say about. Did you notice that she goes into this saying that sex, drugs, and mayhem are good things? Now, did you catch that? Did you catch that? She walked in the door telling you that drugs, sex, and mayhem were good things. That is actually the good part of Empire. That you should associate with Empire because, not in spite of, but because it brings you drugs, sex, and mayhem. Now, if this doesn't sound like White Daddy on the slave plantation talking to you, then you simply lack the IQ high enough that your IQ is in single digits. You lack an IQ high enough to be able to understand this. Just forget about it and just turn this off now. This is so far above your head. They say that she's a professor of communications. Well, she's got her Joseph Goebbels turned up to maximum volume right now. The propaganda here is flowing like a sewer. Now, it's not getting past me. As a student of psychology and with psychologists all in my family, that's not going to get past me. As a communicator myself, I understand Joseph Goebbels when I hear it and when I see it. I understand the tactic of propaganda setting up a good guy and a bad guy. Polarization is what she's utilizing here. Polarization. That she makes it black and white, that either you agree with Empire or you are wrong. It is not your view, my view. It is you agree with Empire or you are wrong. You're either right and someone who agrees with Empire, or you are wrong before we even get started on anything else. She's already framing the terms of the debate before we even get into it. She goes on to say, as the author of Black Queer Identity Matrix, she couldn't make it 3 paragraphs in before she plugs this, my goodness, I don't even know what to think, this freak show. As the author of Black Queer Identity Matrix, a book that deconstructs the matrix in which lesbian and gay people of color live and the strategies employed in negotiating one's sexual identity in public discourse, I found the reaction of media commentator and political analyst Dr. Boyce Watkins severely problematic and troubling, especially within the context of a persistent discourse that says the black community is homophobic. Now, did you all realize something else? In just these 2 paragraphs that she's been in so far, do you realize that she's used the term homophobic 3 times now? Did you notice that? In less than 1 minute of actual reading, without my commentary interjecting, in less than 1 minute of actual reading, she jams you and bludgeons you with the word homophobic. She keeps saying homophobic. Now, the title, the headline of the article says gay agenda. I wonder how many times she's going to use the term gay agenda. Because before she's gotten started, she has slammed you and raped you with homophobic 3 times so far. You know, this is the problem with so many individuals of her emotionally disturbed condition. They are so full of rage and anger and angst that they don't even attempt to hide it or properly coach their arguments. They don't even properly try to do that. They just come out like a baseball bat, blunt force trauma, beating you. Because they believe that if they strike hard and fast and bludgeon you as quickly as possible, then that will preclude any possibility that you will even try to stand up. That's before you can even get started. Now, she goes on to say, after the first episode, Dr. Boyce Watkins publicly articulated his dislike for the show on the basis of the usual yet valid criticism of black-oriented shows that project historically stereotypical images of the black community as coons and thugs. Now, she used the word coons and thugs. So what does this mean? This means that people like me and Tariq Nasheed and now Boyce Watkins, now Huffington Post has conceded, brothers and sisters, we are the ascendant. The momentum is behind us. They are using our terminology now. They're using ours. The bad guys are sending out their black agents and they're using our terms. Why? They are conceding that we have won the debate. That there is no debate over whether or not we can say coon anymore and what it means. They have conceded defeat. Give yourselves a round of applause. The battle has been won. The war is not over, but the battle is won. Coon is officially in the American lexicon. No matter how shy or hesitant people may be to use it, it's in there, and it has a meaning. And they are conceding that we have won. Before you go any further, they are conceding defeat. That they won't even try to disarm it anymore. It's got too much ground, is gaining too much traction, it's rolling too hard and too fast. So they're not even fighting it anymore. Now they are using it. And you see, that's for the purpose. Remember I told you before about driving a wedge. Her audience right now, the people she's trying to speak to, is the majority of black society who agrees with Dr. Boyce Watkins. She knows the majority of black society agrees, and her white masters have sent her out to sow dissension and discord to find out if they can divide us along this gay agenda. I know some of y'all got gay cousins and gay nephews and gay sons and daughters out there. So if you side with Lee do you really want to side with Boyce Watkins against Lee Daniels? Don't you know you got gay kids? Yeah. I know you agree with Dr. Watkins about politics and economics, but if he doesn't back your gay child, how can you condone him on anything anymore if he doesn't support your gay child? So she's coming out before you even gotten started. She's trying to drive a wedge on this side of the fence with us. Now, her as somebody who has no credentials and no credibility to speak to black society, but her white masters need somebody. They gotta start somewhere. And what they're hoping is that her idiotic adolescent tantrum will gain enough ground with enough people before you can actually think it over. Now she says that he starts off on the usual. On the usual? Why didn't she just say the valid criticism? She didn't just say he starts off, his dislike for the show is based on the valid criticism. She says the usual. As if somehow, there they go again. The usual criticisms. Oh well. No. She knows. She knows they want some of Rupert Murdoch's money. She is saying I'm a lesbian, but I'm bedwenching to the fullest. Do you all understand that she is deconstructing the black homosexual matrix? Oh, she's doing that all right. Baby, let me tell you what you did, Sheena. You have deconstructed the black gay matrix that connects and articulates the direct connection between white supremacy and the gay agenda. And that's what you've done. That she has just shown that she is bedwenching hard. Not just bedwenching, but bedwenching hard for Rupert Murdoch. Of all people. Let's see if she says anything against white supremacy or anything as we keep going along here, by the way. Now, she goes on to say, Empire can be said to perpetuate stereotypes in which the black community in particular must be sensitive towards. So she never comes out and makes a direct criticism of the show. She just keeps making these watered down observations, but never a direct criticism. She says Empire can be said to perpetuate stereotypes in which the black community in particular must be sensitive towards. Though now let's see if she speaks about Dr. Watkins in the same innocuous, bland, nondescript terms. Let's see if she speaks about him in the same way of saying it can be, you could see. Dr. Watkins has all the things a good scholar should have. Let's see if she speaks about him in the same way. Or if she creates that black and white polarization of propaganda that's a hallmark of propaganda. Though Dr. Watkins expressed his dislike for the show early on, I find his comments particularly worthy of analysis here because in one of the most recent episodes of Empire, Jamal comes out to his father, which is a critical moment that gave every gay man and lesbian can relate to in some way. Dr. Watkins' comments are of particular interest because one of his main gripes with the show is the inclusion of a gay character, which, for Dr. Watkins, is an attempt to, quote, emasculate the black male. For Dr. Watkins, black heterosexual men who are not promoting a gay agenda do not do as well in Hollywood. Now, did you get that? She said, for Dr. Watkins, black heterosexual men who are not promoting a gay agenda do not do well in Hollywood. For one, this assertion is absolutely absurd. If Dr. Watkins was at all versed in media representation of minorities, he would know how faulty this statement is. Now, let's see if she actually proves that, by the way. Let's see if she actually follows up and proves that Hollywood does not have a bias against heterosexual black men. Let's see if she actually does that, or if she just jumps and goes to a totally different subject, because she just said, oh, if he was at all versed in media representations of minorities, he would know how faulty this statement is. Let's see if she proves it. She says, Dr. Watkins has failed to acknowledge that his critique falls flat when one recognizes that hegemonic black masculinity is the dominant, not only, but dominant representation of black masculinity in virtually all forms of media, especially mediated forms created by African Americans. From comic strips to movies created by African Americans, critical media scholars have consistently written about black hegemonic masculinity as the continuous bombardment of black men who are represented as hypermasculine, aggressive, heterosexual men who enjoy sexual access to women. Mass-mediated forms of communication have rarely carved out room for a black masculinity that falls outside of these constructs. In fact, the depiction of black men as heterosexual, hypersexual, and aggressive trace back to early racist representations of blacks in America and continue to persist today. People like Dr. Watkins know this, but conveniently ignore history to suit their objectives, in which heterosexist values are buried under the cloak of a concern for black community, in which the irony lies in these same critics taking issue when the black community is described as homophobic. Now, before I go any further, as you can tell, she is a cheerleader for the gay agenda. Here's the problem. Why didn't Huffington Post put this article in HuffPost Gay Voices? Why didn't they do that? They take this lesbian writer who puts together this lesbian hit piece and they shove it in Huffington Post Black Voices. Why did they put this there? Because you've all heard she's going on a gay tirade. Okay, fine, cool, you can do that. Why didn't they put your gay article about gay people and the gay agenda in the gay section? Why did you shove it over here in the black section where it does not belong? Why did you do that? What's it doing over here? I'll tell you what it's doing over here. What it's doing over here is poisoning the well. Because it is not enough to simply have a gay agenda. This is how propaganda works. They are taking their gay agenda and telling you that this is part of the black agenda. She gave absolutely no proof whatsoever what she said. And did you all notice the sly little way here? We are entering a time in history that is so perilous right now, because language itself is being bastardized and raped right in front of our eyes. Did you notice that she said that the only representations of black men, of black masculinity, have been as heterosexuals? Did you catch that? She threw that in there. Now, you notice she's trying mind programming now. She's not even being subtle. This is mind bending. She said in here, in fact, the depiction of black men as heterosexual, hypersexual, and aggressive trace back to early racist representations. So, being heterosexual is part of a racist representation. That's what she threw out there to you. And then she says, mass-mediated forms of communication have rarely carved out room for a black masculinity that falls outside of these constructs. Brothers and sisters, I've got one question to ask you tonight. Will someone please explain to me, and the phone lines are open, 646-787-1933. Now, we got a bunch of people on the line right now. Nobody is sitting in the listen queue. So if you're hearing my voice on Blog Talk and you don't want to talk to the host, you need to press 1 to get yourself out of the listen queue. Because if you don't, we're going to get rid of your calls. But will somebody call me up and explain to me how in the world you can be masculine without being heterosexual? How does that work? Homosexual, by definition, is a refutation of masculinity. By definition. Did you see that little sleight of hand she tried to pull off? That you can be gay and masculine. But she never explains how you can be gay and masculine. Because masculinity is judged against femininity, not against another male. And she's not going to go into that. Of course, the argument implodes upon itself instantly. It implodes instantly on contact. But you see, they won't give you a way to confront her and challenge her on this. But did you all notice she snuck that in there? This is how sneaky and dirty, this is how underhanded, how unscrupulous she is and Huffington Post is. This is nothing short of an act of war that you're seeing here. They are declaring war on the black psyche, and if they have to lie to you, so be it. If they have to make up things, so be it. This is war, damn it! This is war! And we are here to win by twisting your minds. And then she ended off by saying, in which the irony lies in these same critics taking issue when the black community is described as homophobic. So right there, did you notice that she went on the war path against the black community? Right there. You notice that guys like Lee Daniels and lesbians like this chick here, they have absolutely no problem saying that black society is homophobic. They make the attack on black society for their masters in white supremacy. But you'll never hear Lee Daniels, I played the audio for you all last week. Lee Daniels said that he doesn't believe in racism. Now, he does believe that Monique can be reverse racist, but he doesn't believe in racism. The only racism that he recognizes is black people standing up against white racism and white supremacy. That he recognizes that as racism. But as far as what white society does, he doesn't have a problem with that. He's not going to war with that. He's not against that. He's not opposing that. He makes the attack on black society for them. She has connected the matrix of the black gay agenda and white supremacy. I couldn't do any better than she is doing in this article. She is articulating why they are a wing of white supremacy. She's, with every verbal that comes out of her mouth, she is saying it. With every syllable that she utters. Now, she then tries to overreach herself. She says, across scholarship that seeks to advocate for progressive and varied representations of black masculinity. Really? One rejoices in the visibility of a gay black male such as the character of Jamal. Jamal provides a counter discourse. Jamal is not effeminate and he is not emasculated. Being gay does not mean you are emasculated. She puts that in parentheses. And Jamal speaks to the variety of representations that LG, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, Q, I forget what the Q stands for, doesn't really matter, of color critical media scholars such as myself have been asking for. If Dr. Watkins had his way, there would be no representations of black men on TV that deviated from stringent notions of masculinity and a traditional family structure. This is simply unrealistic today. She connected all the dots, people. Slavery, racism, white supremacy, destruction of the black family, and the first tactic of warfare amongst one ethnic group on another, to destroy the males, to destroy and disarm the male class of citizens. She just put it all together in just one sentence right there when you heard that. She just connected, she just put the thread through all the eyes of all the needles and connected it all back to this sham called the gay agenda. She just put it all in place. I couldn't have done it any better myself. She just connected all the dots overtly, blatantly, right in front of your face. She doesn't give a damn about black people. This is about a gay agenda and using this gay agenda as a tactic of war against the black community. The target here is not Dr. Boyce Watkins. I cannot say that to you stringently or vocally enough. The target is not Dr. Boyce Watkins. The target here is the black community and black males in particular. Do you notice who she hasn't talked about so far? Hasn't said one word about white supremacy, just throws out racist. She has used the term racist far less than she's used the term homophobic, and yet this article was shoved off into black voices. Arianna Huffington, don't look now, your Ku Klux Klan robes are showing. And I meant that, the way I said that. There's far less distance between Arianna Huffington and Sarah Palin tonight. There's far less difference between Arianna Huffington and Sarah Palin tonight than there is between Arianna Huffington and any right-thinking black person. There's about half an arm's length of distance between Arianna and Sarah Palin tonight. There are miles, light years between Arianna Huffington and black society. And she's tipped her hand. She's tipped her hand by sending out this black wolf in sheep's clothing, this shill. By sending out this black puppet to come out and mouth your white supremacist ideologies. You have tipped your hand. You tipped your hand, kid. She said, now the writer goes on to say, in 1973, the American Psychiatric Association's Board of Trustees removed homosexuality from its official diagnostic manual, as homosexuality was once widely accepted as a mental disorder. Dr. Watkins invokes this history and attempts to re-stigmatize homosexuality in his review by articulating that Lee Daniels has a, quote, mental illness. These are the types of accusations and attacks that are all too familiar for gay men and lesbians. Perhaps Empire does provide Lee Daniels a platform to express and illuminate some of the abuses and ridicule he suffered as a black gay child. In the same way, dare I say, hip-hop illuminated the social and economic injustices in the black communities in the 80s and 90s. Dr. Watkins' views on the feminizing of black men and the gay agenda he charges Lee Daniels with perpetuating represents the same type of narrow-minded thinking that relegated giants like Bayard Rustin, you knew that one was coming, to the margins during the civil rights movement. Never mind that Lee Daniels has several films that do not depict gay men at all, including Precious, The Butler, Monsters Ball, and the list goes on. Now, she just proved all of our statements here, by the way. We have one show on network TV out of less than a handful that have ever depicted a gay black man with his own storyline, and suddenly we are at the point where we are not respecting the necessity of strong masculine black men who love black women? Give me a break. As an intellectual, as a lesbian female, and member of the black community, rhetoric such as this must be checked and challenged. Now, her Twitter is Dr. Sheena Howard. That's all one word. Dr. Sheena Howard. So, if you all want to go have a word with her, you can go holler at her over there on Twitter and let her know that your boss is at, like we did with Charing Ball, kind of just ran her off completely, didn't we? And the reason for that is because for this lesbian viper, for this lesbian sock puppet to sit up here and try to pretend that her masters who are pulling her strings, that she speaks for the black community, that is absolutely an atrocious thing to say. That's a war crime. You don't even speak for the gay community. But for you to sit up here and try to pretend that you speak for black people? A woman who could not carry Dr. Boyce Watkins' pocket protector. Get the hell out of here. If what you said wasn't so ridiculous, we actually will let it get finished. Now, she named off Lee Daniels' other movies. Precious, The Butler, Monsters Ball. Now, she's not stupid, okay? She's not dumb. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. She's not stupid. She knows what was in those movies. She knows what they were about. She's not going to sit here and tell you that she's lying. There weren't any gay black male characters in these movies. But all of those emasculation has homosexuality is only one way to emasculate someone. Making them subservient, making them weak, making a woman stronger than the man. That's how you emasculate someone. Now she knows this, okay? Sheena Howard knows this. She knows it. And that's why she worded it like that. Remember what I told you all. White supremacy's first task is to lie to you. They lie big. They lie right in front of your face. They know they don't have a leg to stand on. White supremacy comes out of the gate lying. It always does, and it always will, because it always must. It is unjust. It is irreconcilable. And it is indefensible. You cannot defend white supremacy. Sheena Howard cannot defend white supremacy. So she must lie. She has to come out lying. Now, she may be right that there were no black gay male characters in any of those other Lee Daniels movies, but understand something. He emasculated black men in the most vicious and horrible manner at every turn, which is why white Hollywood loves him, because he is their crash dummy who runs interference for them. He's their cannon fodder who jumps out there and takes the hits and the bullets for his white masters in the war against the black community and the black social order. And that's his job. That's his job. Now in Precious, you've got Precious's father rapes her and gets her pregnant. He's this bum wearing a wife beater. He is an absolutely horrible and horrid individual. That is the way that Lee Daniels sees black men. They are poor, they are worthless, they are criminal. They are weak, they are degenerate. That is emasculation, Sheena Howard. Supposedly a professor of communications, and yet I just had to give her a lesson in communications. And yes, I know she's going to hear this. I just had to give her a lesson in communications. But because she's lying and she knows it. But that's okay. The Butler. You make a movie about a black man as a damn servant. Now, if that's not the very epitome of emasculation, what in holy hell is? But she is going to walk in here in a group full of intelligent black people and try to deceive us, try this Jedi mind trick on us that Lee Daniels, the Butler, was actually empowering. I promise you that if you challenge her on it, she's going to say that it was actually empowering. And then, of course, the magnum opus for the emasculation of masculine black males, Monsters Ball. Lee Daniels' first full frontal assault on black society. Under the guise of in the disguise of a black director, a white-funded, white-written, white-controlled, white-produced, white-promoted, white-created attack on black society. In Monsters Ball, Halle Berry the black female, she's got what? There's some big fat kid was her son or something like that. And her husband, baby daddy, whatever the hell it is, like was that P. Diddy? Is some low-life criminal, sound familiar, precious? Some low-life criminal, he gets sent to the electric chair, and she's left all on her own so that one of the prison guards, played by Billy Bob Thornton, slam dunks Halle Berry in her Oscar-winning soft porn scene. By the way, they awarded the bedwench with an Oscar. But Sheena Howard is going to have you all believe that there's nothing emasculating about what I just described. That's just, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing emasculating at all. Now, let me explain to you why it is that this happened, brothers and sisters. This ain't got a damn thing to do with homosexuals. This has to do with the fact that a few weeks ago, nationally, you had TV commercials, radio commercials, internet ads. We blew up in such a major way with 7 a.m. to change the national dialogue and the national discussion away from rappers, away from movie stars, away from getting a job, and squarely on one subject: black economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, creating our own economy with our own businesses. And Dr. Boyce Watkins is part of the vanguard of this. And what they were afraid of was something that happened back in the 60s. That Dr. King and Malcolm X were getting together. And when they start seeing black people who have large followings starting to coalesce with each other, now they got to step in. Y'all are doing too much. Dr. Boyce Watkins has a large following. And then Tariq Nasheed has a large following. Jason Black has a following. I will not say it is large. I must maintain modesty. But they saw all of us get together. They saw all of us get together. And we all are on one page, of one accord, and of one mind, that we live in a system of white supremacy. That system of white supremacy must be destroyed, and the only way that we will destroy this system of white supremacy is money. We must have control of our own economy to destroy this system of white supremacy. Now, individuals like Charing Ball and Sheena Howard, they are hired by their white masters, by their white puppeteers, because these individuals will blatantly tell you that black people's greatest problem is not the system of white supremacy. And if you all need to go ask Sheena Howard this, I got hundreds of people listening to me right now. Go over there to Twitter. It's at Dr. Sheena Howard on Twitter. You can go ahead and take a look at that. Go on to Twitter to Dr. Sheena Howard and ask her, Dr. Sheena Howard, is white supremacy the biggest problem facing black people? Don't ask, is white supremacy the biggest problem, or homophobia. Just ask her, is white supremacy the biggest problem that faces black people? Ask her that. Ask her, is it the biggest problem that we face? Or are you going to say that black people face a number of problems, including homophobia? Now, why is this issue of homophobia so important for white supremacy to keep injecting on black society? You know why? Because bringing up this straw man, this red herring of homophobia, bringing that up over and over and over again. You see, when I tell you that the enemy is white supremacy, you start fighting white supremacy. When I tell you that the enemy is homophobia, then you stop fighting white supremacy and you start fighting each other over something that ultimately doesn't even matter. Congratulations, you are the queen of the gay trash heap. Now, what are we going to do about white supremacy? You heard not one word attacking white supremacy in her entire screed that she went on. Not one word condemning it, not even broaching condemning it. Her enemy is not white supremacy. She wants a job with white daddy. Her enemy is black society. Lee Daniels admitted and confessed that he is an agent of white supremacy. He admitted it. I played the audio for you all. And he said, if that makes me a sellout, so be it. Call it what it is. Now, he used those words, not me. Call it what it is. If that makes me a sellout, so be it. Call it what it is. The reason that they're making their first salvo against Dr. Watkins is because we joined a black male power structure together, that we realize we are much stronger together than we are apart. And we finally started coalescing with each other and discussing with each other and maneuvering with each other. And this is why fakers and frauds and con men and all these people running around talking this other spiritual garbage are getting knocked to the wayside, because that's not going to help us. By the way, I got a few words about that as well, if I can get to it here tonight before we get too far along. But they're going after Dr. Watkins because their goal is to attack black society, because they see us putting it together. But it's hard, brothers and sisters. It's hard to do that. It's hard. And you know why it's hard? It's hard because Dr. Boyce Watkins has his own income. He's got his own businesses. So you can't dangle, unlike Sheena Howard. Sheena Howard is trying to keep her job. She's trying to keep from being fired. Sheena Howard is trying to get somewhere. Dr. Boyce Watkins has already gotten there. She's trying to get something. He's already got it. So you see, white supremacy cannot use the usual tactics. Dr. Boyce Watkins is not a politician, and he is not your employee. So you do not have the necessary tools with which to punish him. You cannot do that. The usual tactics that you would utilize ordinarily, something that would cripple, a slave like Barack Obama or a coon like Lee Daniels, those tools don't work on a Boyce Watkins. That's not going to work on him. You can't threaten him. You have nothing to threaten him with. He has built his own economy, therefore he has disarmed you. He's disarmed you before you can even get in the room. No wonder you're angry as hell. He's already disarmed you. And that is what this is about. He has struck a nerve. And the nerve is that black empowerment is the critical issue of the 21st century. This is how we correct the massive historical wrong turn that was made 500 years ago. We correct it with economic empowerment, and her job is to change the subject away from economic empowerment, away from a strong and unified black whole, and to get it off on something else that doesn't matter. She knows it, and now you know it. This is about changing the subject. And if they can drive a wedge between all of us based on this non-issue of homosexuality, get us all to start arguing with each other that we all need to agree on homosexuality before we do anything else. No, we just need to agree that we live in a system of white supremacy, and that is responsible for all of our other ills, and that the only way to deal with this problem of white supremacy is black economic empowerment, not sexual empowerment, not sexual liberation. Those things are non-issues and irrelevant. And she's doing the work of her masters to try to make it where before people even see Dr. Boyce Watkins, oh, Dr. Watkins, before we can talk about white supremacy, we need to talk about homosexuality. Let's talk about that first. Now, when she brings you among her white masters, she will not let you say that we need to discuss white supremacy first. She will not do that. She's going to tell you that we have to discuss black homosexuality and problems with black folk. She is here for the purposes of being a shield, of running interference for her masters. And that's why you have the Black Channel. That's why you have an outlet such as this. That's why you have a media outlet like the Black Channel, like Black Channel Films. This is why we have to do this. Because white supremacy has bought their storefronts. These are just fronts that they bought. And these are just fronts that use the name black. That's another thing. Do you all notice they don't use the words African American? Whenever they talk about black people, it's always black. Now, they try to force us to use the term African American, but when they set up something for the purposes of getting black customers or black listeners, it's always black. They never say African American, it's always black. They understand that we identify ourselves as black. They want you to divide and to splinter. That's what they want. But it's not happening. It's not happening. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here now. Let's get caller from 706. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, how you doing, brother? This is DP from Georgia.
Okay, what's your name again?
I had D. Darius from Georgia.
Okay, is that D. Harris?
No, Darius, like Darius. But I had a business. I was speaking some advice from some business.
Okay, the business question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you there. You were breaking up there at first, but you said you had a business question. Of course, we here at the Black Channel, we do not do subjects, so definitely I can go ahead and take your answer on that, and then I'll get back to that in particular. What was your business question? Which is actually right apropos in mind, by the way, everybody, because Sheena Howard and her masters over there at Huffington Post, they don't want us to talk about business. They want to try to divert people. This is exactly the kind of conversation that they do not want us to have. So, what was your business question?
Well, I'm a vendor. I drive in trucks and I saw a van. And when I went to C7AM, I noticed that people said, whatever you're working at, to try to own or, what you're just talking about. So I'm trying to buy a vending machine. And I'm looking around, and it's kind of hard. I was wondering, how would I go about doing that? I'm kind of in the mix because I'm trying to, buy a house and buy a pickup truck and buy a vending machine. I don't know, should I use my credit on this, spend cash on another thing? I'm just in the middle. I was wondering, what would you do? What would your advice do? What would you advise me to do if you was in the same situation?
Okay, now let's be sure about a couple of things here first, okay?
All right.
Now, first of all, you're saying that you already work for a vending machine company?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been working there? Okay, first of all, stop. Before we go any further, turn your speakers off.
Hold on. All right, I got my headphones on. Hold on.
Now, this call is dedicated to Dr. Sheena Howard, because this is exactly what you hate, and we know you're mad, and we just gonna make you more mad right now. So this one's dedicated to you.
Hello? Is that?
All right, now, you stated that you already work for a vending machine company. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. How long you been working for them?
2 years.
2 years. What do you do working for them?
Just fill up machines, Pepsi bottles, the actual Pepsi company.
Okay.
I'm just,
Now, are you saying that you work for Pepsi or a vending machine company?
Yeah, Pepsi vending bottling company.
Okay. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Now, here's the question, though. You've been working for them for 2 years. You've been filling up the vending machines for 2 years. You're already running their business, but you're asking, what do I need to do to run the business? You're already doing it.
Well, yeah. But as far as because I think I heard was it last week or the week before you was talking about the credit score. Now I was going to purchase a vending machine cash because I heard a few people say not to deal with the banks as far as a loan, and my credit score is over 7. I think it's a 7. I can't remember. It was like a couple months ago when I checked it. So I was wondering, should I purchase a vending machine with credit and keep my cash, or you get what I'm saying?
Okay, well,
I don't know what would be the best thing as far as a business, the best business way.
well,
Procedure.
here's the issue here, okay? What you're trying to do
Mhm.
is so small, to be totally honest. It's so
Mhm.
small, really, you could just pay for it cash, to be totally honest. I mean, you can pick up a vending machine
Mhm.
for a couple $1,000s. So, in total honesty. Now, here's the thing
Yeah,
about
that's
that,
what I
though.
told.
Your credit is already good enough as it is. I mean, you've already got good credit to begin with. Me personally, I reserve that kind of thing for a purchase that would be larger. If I'm going to go into debt, I really just don't, unless I just don't have the money. If I didn't have any other option, I would do it like that. Now, that's going to be a decision for you to make. As long as you can pay it off, there's no problem with it. As long as you can pay it off. I would not put something like that on a credit card, and the reason for that is because the only way you could do that is if you max out your cards, unless you got some platinum cards or something. But if that's not the case, now, I mean, do you have the ability to put all of that on one card?
No.
Okay,
I
so
have
so you see what I mean is
I
that
closed
you would basically be having to max out all your cards unless you could get some type of loan from a bank. You can get a loan from a
Well,
bank.
that's what I mean. I'm sorry. As far as a loan.
Well, I mean, you can get a
the
loan from a
lady when I
bank.
was-
That's fine. You can get one. But like I say, how much were you planning on taking out?
Well, when I was negotiating the contract with the lady, because I have to do a year contract, and I had called a vending service before. They was telling me to take 20,000 out to get more than one, because the people I was asking that's doing it, they successfully make close to, I think, like it's because it's a military installation base, so they make anywhere from 4,000 or 5,000 a week. Depends on where the machines are located. So when I was talking to her, she was like, "You can bring one, but she would rather me bring more than one, as far as so she could put it in more buildings." There's an ice cream vending machine for the soldiers. And when I called the company in Arizona, they was telling me to take a $20,000 loan. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, so I don't know. That's why people was like telling me just go ahead and pay it cash and start one by one. Instead of going to 20,000 loan, get more than one. You know what I'm saying? Well, this in a machine that's not easy to break down. Because the machines I'm seeing that's kind of cheap, they break down easily. Because I'm a vendor, so I see constant problems and they can't keep their contract.
That's very, very true. If the machines are constantly breaking down, it's worse about your not. The real problem is not even the contracts. You can't make money on machines that are not working.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the real thing about it, is the machines have to be working, and you have to have a way to get those machines fixed quickly if something goes wrong with it. So, because as every hour it's down, that's money you're not making. So you got expenses that you got for the month, but that's money you're not making. So yes, you are going to have to keep on top of that as far as the machine is concerned. Now, with that being the case, like I say, I'm not telling you to go off and go get a trash bin machine. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you want to get the best machine that you can, absolutely. If you are able to take out a loan for that amount of money, in your case here, you've already qualified for everything that we usually require. You've learned the business, you've worked at the business, you have contracts, you've learned. They basically have taught you how to be a vendor. They've basically taught you how to do that. Now that they've taught you how to do that, here comes the scary part: risk. I mean, because it is that you're risking money. Nobody's guaranteeing you that you're going to make anything, and that's what you're having trepidation about. Is, hey, if I go spend all this money or take out this loan, there's no guarantee I'm going to get it back. Brother, welcome to the world of business. This is exactly what created the original Pepsi company, Coca-Cola, RC root beer, or RC Cola root beer, A&W root beer. We can go down the list. This is where business begins. Somebody somewhere puts their name and puts it all on the line and takes a risk. Somebody somewhere does it. And that's how it all starts. So this is it, brother. This is where the rubber meets the road. Now, if it seems like I'm not giving a bunch of answers about that, it's because I really can't. This is a decision that you must make. I can't make that decision for you. Is it something that I would do if I were in your position? Probably. But am I telling you to go ahead and do that? Ultimately, it's your life. You have to decide if you want to do that. If you're asking me about feasibility, the numbers that you've given me today, as far as, it sounds like you're going with a company that's already got established routes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're playing it safe.
So with the company that I spoke with, they were just looking for it's day machines. It's not it's kind of weird because it's not like I'm owning the machines. That's why I was hesitant about going out. There's some company in California. Those are the best machines when I was doing research, but it was just health stuff. You know what I mean? So health. I'm good health vending machines. So I was just looking online, and I just keep seeing used machines. I really want to just get some
okay
brand new machines
for the type of machine that you want. What are you pricing?
Say it again, sir.
For the type of machine that you want, what are you pricing? What's your price range?
The good ones I've seen, I think it's like 16,000. I think.
Okay.
The top-notch ones.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure.
What you're doing now, what he means, brothers and sisters, is, for those of you who are in your 30s or older, now we all remember no vending machines. You put coins in them and whatnot. But y'all have to understand, those are cheaper machines. Because nowadays, your modern machines, and thanks to Obamacare, you got more regulations on your machines now. They have to give calorie counts on the stuff. So that makes it even more expensive. But one of the problems is that with the newer machines, particularly the ones that can read dollar bills, it can read a 1, it can read a 5, it can read a 10 and give you change. Those machines are more expensive. So to have a modern, up-to-date machine that can read money, that can read the coins, that can read, silver dollars and whatnot, that's where the price skyrockets, is when you start having machines like that. So it sounds like that's what you're running into there, is you want to get some new top-of-the-line machines.
Yeah,
I got an issue.
Company I'm working for.
I have an issue with that. I'm not going to lie to you. I have an issue with that. And the reason why is because you do not have a proof of concept. Where's your proof of concept?
My proof of conduct?
Your proof of concept. Okay. What does proof of concept mean? What that means is that you've got a concept. Have you been able to prove it on a micro scale? In other words, where's the machine that you've already made money with?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. Here's what I want you to do, okay? Here's what I want you to do. Time for you to do some deep reconnaissance. I want you to find one machine. Just one, okay? Now, right now on the routes that you're working, are you working with any vending machines that are like the ones you want to get for yourself?
Oh, like the ones that my seen machines that I want my purchasing as well, you saying?
Yeah, the machines that you are servicing right now on your vending route, are any of those like the vending machines that you want to get?
No, that's the thing.
Okay.
Because those are soda machines. I want to get an ice cream machine, so it's kind of tad different. That's the only thing that's...
Okay, now when you say for an ice cream machine, is that like the kind with the carousels in them?
Yeah, just I don't know how to describe it. It picks up. I mean, it's a lot more work than a soda machine.
Yeah, but I'm saying that because I know that the only ice cream machines that I've seen for vending machines, those are the kind that they have like these carousels in them, these locking doors.
Oh yeah, that's what you said. I ain't hear you. Yeah, they do.
Okay, so you want the kind that have the little turntables in them with the locking doors. And they got like Lunchables and stuff like that in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, like I say, this is why they call me the authority. I've been here, I've done this, and as Bruce Williams said, I got the scars and the bumps and the knocks and the cuts and the bruises to prove it. Okay. Those machines are going to cost you more, and the reason for that, everybody, is because each one of those shelves is its own little motorized device, okay? So that's why everybody, if you want to know why it costs more, is because each one of those shelves is its own motorized device. It's got to go off of your. It's a little bit more complicated than I'm explaining right here, but basically the machines are overpriced. But vending machines being a scarce commodity, as it were, that drives the price of them up for the ones that are made. If it were me, brother, here's what I want you to do. Okay. On your route, do you actually encounter any of these machines just along the way? Whether you service them or not?
I did. Now as far as servicing, is a gentleman that once was working at Pepsi with me. He started his ice cream machine, but he failed. He told me that he spent his money a lot on his family, so she's looking for another contract now. And I see his machine all the time, but I haven't actually worked in it before.
Okay, is his machine still in service?
No, they gone now. She told him to take them off because he wasn't able to pay the percentage.
Okay, he wasn't able to
contract.
Okay, he wasn't able to pay for his contract, so he couldn't stay. My first order of business for you. Okay, you need to do some reconnaissance. First order of business is you need to find one of the machines like the one you want to buy. Okay.
Okay.
Find it. Get the make and model number. That's the first thing you want to do. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop it. You're making this much harder than it needs to be. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. First, find a machine that's already like the one you want. If you're able to, find out how long that machine has been at that location.
Okay.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it's in a place where you can ask some questions about it, ask some questions. All right?
Okay.
Like if it's at a convenience store, well, not a convenience store necessarily, but if it's on the base or whatever, if somebody can answer some questions about that, you want to find out how that machine has been doing. You actually want to find out about as many of them as you can. Start doing some reconnaissance on the machines. Don't just jump up and start trying to buy stuff. That's one of the worst things you can do, is that you refuse to comparison shop. Start doing some recon and start gaining some intelligence. Get some intel, do some recon, find out what is happening for other people. Find out their make and model of their machines, and then go start pricing those. Start pricing those. Because you see, if I wanted to get into the trucking business, yeah, I mean, I do have the option of buying a brand new Volkswagen. If I wanted to get a semi-truck, yeah, I could do that. But I can get a used Peterbilt for a fourth of the cost. I can buy a Peterbilt that's 5 years old with 100,000, 150,000 miles on it. I can get a Peterbilt for $25,000, $30,000. Why would I go spend $100,000 for a brand spanking new semi? Well, it'll be less trouble and stuff. Yeah, but take a look at the astronomical cost and how much am I actually saving? And first of all, I would never tell anybody to jump off into something head first. I would never tell you to do that. You need to find out, first of all, if you're built for this. And that means you need to spend as little as you can, not as much. You want to be over-capitalized as possible. You want to take out a loan for $20,000 and only spend $5,000 or $6,000. And what you're saying is, wow, look at all the rest of this money. Now, this is where you got to keep that dusty nigger routine at bay. Because that voice is going to be, trick off your money is going to be right there with you. Man, I got $16,000. Hell, I can take the old lady out and, man, we can go do it big. Okay, that's what keeps folk broke. That's what keeps them broke. You need to take out a loan for $20,000 or $30,000 and spend $5,000 to $10,000. And let the rest of that be your buffer in case anything goes wrong. Because you are learning this business. First you've learned how to run it. Now you're going to learn how to do it. So that means you need to start small. Get you one machine that ain't ragged out. Get you one machine. And start with that one. If you can make that one work, you can make 100 of them work.
Okay.
But you first need to prove you're built for one. Because if you can't make one machine profitable, you'll be crazy as hell to think you're going to make 50 of them profitable. You could make one profitable. With 7 a.m., it would be silly and stupid for me to talk about going back and doing another movie if 7 a.m. had flopped. If 7 a.m. had failed and nobody showed up at the theaters, it would be insane for me to talk about doing another movie. Or worse, getting other people to spend more money on another movie. Hell, you weren't able to you haven't proven you can make the first one work. So what I did was a proof of concept. 7 a.m. proves that I can make a movie and I can make it work. Now we can start talking about doing more movies. You get you one vending machine. Get you one. It ain't got to be brand new. It just needs to be in good shape. Now, I'm trusting that you know how to identify a machine that's in good shape. I'm trusting you do. You supposedly been working in this business for 2 years. If you don't need to be doing this because you don't know enough to even identify a good working machine. So I'm trusting that you do. Am I wrong?
No, yeah, I did.
Okay. Well, you know how to identify a machine that works. Next order of business. You are now going to go off and you are going to get you one machine that works and let's prove its profitability. You go, once that one is profitable, you take it from there. I do not think that necessarily going for a brand new machine is a good idea. I can understand your logic behind it, but from a business standpoint, you never try to go and build a brand new housing development if you're a real estate developer. A real estate developer always begins with an existing structure that he got on the cheap. Always. He tries to find that diamond in the rough that everybody else is overlooking. And you make that profitable first. Find something that has a high probability of a good rate of return first. When you are first learning to go into business, you have to be conservative. Because your money is maximum risk, but you need to make sure that you are not maximum risk, minimum exposure. That's how you do it.
Okay. Because I was thinking that as well. Because I was talking to the maintenance guy that worked at my job. I was like, I want to get an older machine too. I'm still thinking about new, and he was like, you can just show me how to do the maintenance. It's not as hard as you think. And that was an option too. I forgot to mention that as well.
Oh, you need to do that. To be totally honest with you, you need to, like the other fellow you said that there was a guy you were working with, you said that he had the type of machines you wanted. You need to be picking his brain.
Yeah, I can't find him. He just got ghosts. I mean,
find him. Find him. Find him.
Okay.
You're reinventing the wheel. I would be trying to find him.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd be trying to find him. Now, what city are you in again?
Yeah, I agree. Say again?
What city are you in again?
Oh, Augusta, Georgia.
Okay. Augusta's not a big place.
Well, yeah, it's just the Fort Glorious. Like
Find him.
I mean, for communication. Yeah.
Find him. So you can pick his brain and find out about that. He's had experience. A wise man learns from the experience of others. A fool learns from his own. This guy's already gotten his ass kicked. Go talk to him and find out what he did wrong. Maybe he was undercapitalized. Maybe he just got just enough money to get started, which is what most business people do, and didn't have nothing beyond that. Maybe he chose poor routes. Maybe he has a drug habit. Maybe he's got a grabby woman. But find out about those machines. You need to be picking his brain. He's already been there. Why should you start out learning when you can? Why should you start out taking the option of making mistakes when you can find out from somebody else who's already made them? Don't take his word as gospel, because if he knew everything, he wouldn't be out of business now. But find out what he was doing right. Find out the things that he was doing right. And then you can juxtaposition that against what he was doing wrong and start making some better choices. But if it were me, brother, as soon as I hang up this phone tonight, first order of business is find him. There's somebody who knows him. There is somebody who knows him. I'd find him. If you can't find him, find somebody else with something similar.
Okay.
But I would not be trying to reinvent the wheel. I would not try to get brand new machines either. I would get decent machines and make sure that I know a good mechanic who can show up, a good repairman who can show up at a moment's notice. I would put my money into a repairman, not a machine.
Okay.
To be totally honest with you, you need that more than anything else. You need somebody who can come and service those machines more than anything else. That's where my money would be. It's like if I had a cab company. I can get cars that are 5 or 6 years old. I would put my money into I can buy brand new cars for $25,000, or I can get used cars for $6,000 and pay for a mechanic. It would be better to get cheaper cars and make sure I got a mechanic. Because I'm going to start making money from day one because I paid so little for the cars. And I got a mechanic to make sure that I don't just lose my ass. So in your case, your number one priority is finding somebody to fix your machines. That is your insurance policy against getting bad machines. If you do get a machine that is bad, but the money is coming in, remember what I told you before about you only spent $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
Now you took out a loan for 20 or 30, but you only spent 5. We got a good route, but we got a bad machine. Now what are you going to go do?
Oh, buy another one?
Now we go buy a new machine.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a proof of concept. Now I know this machine works. Now I know that this route works, because you don't care about the machine. You don't give a damn about ice cream, brother. You don't care about ice cream. No, you wouldn't have called me if you did. If you had, you'd call me asking about ice cream. You call me asking about money. So the goal is not a vending machine. The goal is a route that produces. Like the dope game, you're looking for a corner that's producing.
Mm-hmm.
You want a block that produces. Once you find a block that produces, the machine becomes ancillary. Ironically enough. But you find a place, you use that machine to tap that thing and find out a place that's producing. And then once you got that, now you can worry about if the machine goes bad. Now, don't get a machine that's going to lay down on you, but your primary concern is getting in there and finding a place that's going to produce. Make sure you got a mechanic who can fix on your machine. Once we find a spot that produces and you got a mechanic as your insurance policy, roll from there. If that machine lays down on you, now you can make an informed decision about buying a new machine. Because right now you're guessing whether you need one. You're not actually making an informed decision.
True.
You want one, but we don't know if you actually need it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've seen some. That's a good. I'm glad because I didn't think about that because I can get because some I wasn't sure, but some machines are the ones I was looking at.
Do you know somebody
I
who
work
fixes
with
them?
So I know the machines work.
Okay, you work with them, but do you know somebody who fixes them that you can hire?
No, that's one thing. I know somebody that will work on the testing machines, but I don't know. Like he said, he can help me out, but I don't know somebody that actually can just. I can.
If he doesn't know, find out from him somebody who he does know. He knows somebody who does.
Okay.
Like I say, bro, you gotta start using your connections. Y'all don't ask enough questions. If the person you're talking to doesn't know, black folks sit up here and walk away. White folk pick your minds. Asians pick our brains till they fall out. Black folks sit up here. If we're told no, we go home. Unless it's some Air Jordans. Y'all gotta stop that. This is business. If he doesn't know, but he's knowledgeable, he's got a colleague who does. He can put you in touch with somebody who does. But your number one priority, I wouldn't get that machine before I knew somebody who could fix it. I wouldn't touch it. Now, if there's a way for you to take a course or something in fixing the machines, that would be a great idea. That would be a fantastic idea if you could service your own machines. You might want to look into that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you don't want to service them, your priority is get somebody who can. That's going to help you to absorb your risk. Because right now you are maximum exposed. You always want to put out there for maximum risk, but you want to have minimal exposure to that big risk. Right now you're very exposed. You could have a brand new machine, and what if a dollar bill gets jammed in it? How would you get it out? Now, you've been working on these machines for 2 years, and you're not even sure how to get a dollar bill out of it. You need to get somebody who knows how to work. First of all, you need to know how to do at least basic maintenance on your machines.
Yeah, I can do that at least, yeah.
You should at least be able to get a jam dollar out of it. A jam coin. You should at least be able to do that. Now, if you can do that, you go from there. As far as if the machine is not reading coins, or it's got broken arms or a broken motor, you need to have somebody that you know who can do that. But you need to actually learn how to service your own machines too, as much as you can. As much as you can. Take it from there. But your number one priority is find somebody who works on those machines. That is your insurance policy against risk. Because what ruined the other fella? His uptime. He couldn't keep his machines up. So what does that automatically tell you? I got to make sure my uptime is handled. Was his problem that he didn't know anybody who could fix machines? And he kept running around trying to fix it himself? And eventually they couldn't fool with him? Now what? Like I said, this is why you need to talk to him. The fellow who works on machines, you need to talk to him. You need to do as much information gathering, data mining as you can. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, yeah, that's one. Because I just appreciate the advice. Because I was, before I seen that movie, I was just about go back to school. But when down people said whatever job you're working at, that's one thing I remember. Because I know it well. It's just that I never thought about the next level with it. So just
definitely keep your job.
Mm-hmm.
Do not quit your job at all. Do not quit your job, whatever you do. Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You start this as your side business. And don't say nothing.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, I would get a vehicle with tinted windows so nobody sees me servicing it.
Okay.
You get that? I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking about what I said. I would not let anybody on to the fact that I got my own machines. I would never do that.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, the moment they find out, they're going to make up a reason to fire your ass. The moment they find out. They're going to be like, okay, this nigga has left the reservation. Get him out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Get him out of here. He may make it, but we ain't going to help him. He might make it to the promised land, but we ain't going to help him get there. So understand that. You keep that close to the vest. You keep your day job till this hot side thing gets up and going and is rolling on its own. Once that thing has got its own acceleration to it, and once it's got its own momentum, jump on it. But you can't do that yet. Own momentum, for me, own momentum is if my side job is paying me twice what my regular job is paying me. Now, everybody's got their own estimation for it. But for me, it was when I was making twice as much money at, real estate, car dealing and stuff like that than I was at a regular job, it's time to leave. Because I'm like, hell, I can make 4 or 5 times as much if I could stay here full time instead of doing this. If I'm making twice as much as a regular job part time, how much would I be making if I could stay here full time and do this just all the time? So once you get to a point where you're making twice as much, time to raise anchor.
Okay.
That's my suggestion. Anyway, definitely let us know how that turns out. Give yourself about 4 or 6 months. Get that information that I told you. And definitely call us back and let us know how that works out for you. Let us know what you've learned.
Okay.
Because as you learn, spread the knowledge to other people. Because as they economically rise, we can all rise together. A bunch of poor people ain't got a bunch of money to spend with each other. They got to put their money together. A bunch of people who are economically growing, they have the ability to work together in a far different way, in a more productive manner.
Yes, I would do that. Can I get your email number as well? Email address?
Well, my email address is theBlackAuthority@yahoo.com. But definitely let us know how that goes. I want you to give us a call back.
Yeah, I'll call back.
When you get that under your legs, give us a call back so we can find out how that goes from you. Because I've got other people I work with, who have done their own thing like that, Nagus Vu and some other people, and this is just my part to try to help you guys out with that. But come back and let these other people know what you've learned. Once you've gone to the other side, let them know what you've learned. Because, like I say, I've worked with vending machines, but I never actually owned any vending machines. And for those of you who have this knowledge, take it to the next level. I can get you introduced to it. You get in there and find out what's going on. Come back and spread the knowledge. Make it to the next level. By the time you come back, there may be 3 or 4 other people who are working with vending machines also and be like, hey, that brother you had called up before, let me holler at him right quick and let's see about chopping things up and getting something going. He needs somebody to work on his machines. Yeah. He needs more product. He needs another vehicle. He wants to get better machines. Let's start this Pan-African connection.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Please check back with us again. Let's get caller. And by the way, you will never encounter what you just heard on Huffington Post Black Voices. You will never see that kind of economic elevation anywhere. The Black Channel, this is what I've been doing for over half a decade now. This is the only place where we talk to people, not in the periphery. I don't sit up here and talk about business in a ancillary way. I don't sit up here and talk about it in a disconnected or generalized way. I speak about it specifically. And this is why nobody does what we do. I can talk to you. I've been a lot of places. I've seen a lot of things. These other people will sit up here and try to guess their way and bull jive through it. We don't do that here because we don't have to. Caller from 239, you're on live with the Black Channel. Okay, caller from 239 was immediately abducted. Caller from 910, you're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 910 got abducted. I better not answer any more calls. Everybody's getting taken. Like Liam Neeson. Everybody's getting taken. This is kind of scary right here. This is why they call this the world's most dangerous broadcast, because you might not make it through it. You may not make it to the end of the broadcast. This kind of conversation that you all heard here tonight, if for those of you who are not familiar with Bruce Williams did this all the time. That's what Bruce Williams' talk show was based on. I'm not sure if Bruce Williams still even has a talk show, but that was what Bruce Williams did. People would call him and ask him legal questions, business questions, and this is what he did. Well, this is what I do. I sit and I talk to people. I bring you together for economic empowerment. I give you the specifics, the things your parents wouldn't tell you about, and that your white supremacist employers won't speak to you about or try to fire you over. You can actually come here and speak to somebody who knows. And speak to other people who know. Because if I don't know, I guarantee you I can get you in touch with someone who can. And this is what they're afraid of. This is why Dr. Boyce Watkins is finding himself under the hammer right now. This is why he's finding himself there. He's finding himself under the hammer because he's talking about what has been neglected for so long. They're like, oh hell, these Negroes actually found it. They found the source of our power. Hammer them. Get them. Get them. So they send their flunkies out. They send their flunkies in blackface out to come and do their dirty work for them. Because they are terrified. The conversation that I just had with that caller, they are absolutely terrified. Now, Jason Reed is in the chat room. He said that Sheena Howard responded to him by saying that the first problem is to stop talking about, quote, the black community, end quote, like one solution solves the problems of all blacks. Now, first of all, she didn't answer what he asked. Second of all, she did exactly what I told you. She's going to respond by telling you that the problem is not white supremacy. She's going to start by telling you, don't look at my masters. My lords, my overseers, stop talking about them. The problem isn't white supremacy, she says. The problem is the rest of you. Her master sent her out and told her what to talk about, and that's it. Now, let me explain to you all how you know. Let me explain to you how you can spot apparatchiks of white supremacy when you find them. Now, this is what Huffington Post Black Voices, which really should have been the gay voices here, this is what they were talking about. I want to ask you all something. If Lee Daniels was really doing so much for black people, if Lee Daniels was really such a threat to black people, then of course, blatant, outright, admitted, avowed white supremacists would be scared to death of him. They would be on a rampage and a tirade and a jihad and a crusade against him. Naturally they would, right? Right? Naturally it won't be any problem to locate the enemies of black society and Lee Daniels. There will be no degrees of separation between them. Clearly. Right? Brothers and sisters, as you all know, Stormfront, not Yahoo.com, which is Stormfront East. Stormfront, the original Stormfront, not the other Stormfront, Yahoo.com. Stormfront is the place to go on the internet. If you are looking for white supremacists, Stormfront is the place to go. That is the nexus. That is the epicenter of pure, uncut, unfiltered, unadulterated white supremacist thought and rhetoric. Stormfront has attacked Boyce Watkins. They have attacked Tariq Nasheed. They have attacked me. Have you all tried to do a search on Stormfront for Lee Daniels? Have you all gone to Stormfront? Have you ever tried it? Going to Stormfront and doing a search for Lee Daniels to find out what do white supremacists, admitted white supremacists, what do they feel? How threatening do they see Lee Daniels to be? I mean, they're safe in their Klan robes, safely and securely tucked behind their monitors. Surely, when you go to Stormfront, you will see white supremacists attacking Lee Daniels and his movies the same way that they attacked my movie and other movies like mine. Surely you will find the same rhetoric, right? Wrong! If you go to Stormfront right now, you can go to Google and just type in Stormfront Lee Daniels. First thing you'll see is a entry where somebody on Stormfront is talking about Lee Daniels, I think it's the butler, and saying that America's a racist country, or that Obama being in office has made it a racist country. Let me check here and just be sure about that. I don't want to guess my way through that. Just to prove the point to you here, I can do this for you live on here as we go along. Okay, on their website, Negro Lee Daniels says people are angry that Obama is president. That post only got 2 responses. Not like mine with 30 and 40, only got 2 responses. Not like Tariq's with whole pages, just 2 responses. That's all that they got. None. Now, what does that do right there? What does that tell you right there, that when you see that this is a director of so-called, You want to call him a black director, but Stormfront is not the least bit concerned or scared. Now, there's another one that says, the Butler director Lee Daniels, America is more racist since Obama became president. That's another post on Stormfront. America is more racist since Obama became president. Now, listen to the responses that Lee Daniels gets on the white supremacist website of record, Stormfront. Response number 1, I agree 100%. It's opened a lot of people's eyes to the fact that the HNIC is flushing the country down the toilet even further. I hear folks say things that they never would have said 5 years ago. Another person, I actually agree with that statement too. A third person, yes it is. By the way, the quote about how a white man can kill a black man and get away with it, and then using George Zimmerman as an example, is a pretty poor example, since I and so many others have stated for the umpteenth time that Zimmerman isn't white. Fourth response, I'd guess it's because blacks have become blacker since Obama was selected as president. Now we can go down the list. Here. But the responses, and it's only one page of, it's only 1.5 pages of responses. That's it. So on Stormfront, Lee Daniels gets something that you have never heard Stormfront say about any other black person. Lee Daniels has admitted white supremacists, confessed white supremacists, saying that they agree with Lee Daniels. That's what they're saying. That they agree with him. Now, if that alone is not concrete enough evidence for you that he's part of that enemy apparatus, nothing else will be. Turn this thing off. You are beyond hope. You're beyond hope. It was just proven in no uncertain terms. Proven. And that's why they're doing this. Lee Daniels isn't a threat. He's never been a threat. He's not a threat now. They don't think he's going to become a threat in the future. He's one of their pet Negroes, and so is Sheena Howard. And their job is to distort and distract and deflect and divert. Their job is to get us to stop talking about black empowerment and start fighting amongst ourselves. And she's come in as a black face representing her white masters. So her job is to come in and tell us that we don't need to focus on black economic empowerment. Instead, we should be focusing on attacking each other over homosexuality, 2% of the black population. That 98% of the black population should start fighting with each other, because this is what they do. These are these COINTELPRO tactics, people. They send in a black face. Remember what I said in my video earlier this week? Usually a female. They'll usually try to find some way to throw a female in there, because you're going to be less assuming that a female would be stirring up crap like this. You'll be less suspicious. Because you have this image in your head that is going to take some tough, gruff figures. People, some of the toughest, gruffest, most battle-hardened soldiers of white supremacy are your females. Some of the most rough, grizzled, battle-hardened soldiers for white supremacy are your females. A lot of these females running around here are battle-tested. And they will ride for White Daddy. They will ride for him. And their job is to come in the middle of a group of black people and divide us to get us to start talking not about white supremacy, to change the subject off of white supremacy and on to some other minor thing. That's her job. Let's see if I can try taking one more call here. Caller from 703. You're on live with the Black Channel. Okay, it's ADHD night. We'll go ahead and forget about that. Her job is to distract everybody else. Her job is to try to run off and slink off. And I'm telling you all, let's not allow that to happen. I'm telling you all, don't allow that to happen. You can't fight an enemy if you don't know who your enemies are. And we need to make it very clear that we've identified our enemies. We need to make it very clear. We need to put a spotlight on her, like I did on Nicole Dunca, like I did on Zane, like I did on the two lesbians in the Rayon McIntosh case, like I did against the entirety of white supremacy in 7 a.m. We have got to put a spotlight on these killers and traitors and collaborators sitting right next to us. We have got to put the spotlight on them. It's imperative that we do that. Absolutely imperative. Because they are the other part of the arm that is working hand in hand with white supremacy. You see, in the 21st century, this is the way that white supremacy will work. It'll spend part of its time gathering its resources and the other part of its time making sure that potential competitors stymie themselves by fighting amongst themselves. So they're going to spend their resources to set up supposed black apparatuses, but for the purposes of getting us to fight with each other. So they've got something that calls itself Black Voices. It calls itself that. But that's all they do. Now, Jason Reed said that if she wants to give us her number to call, Jason, you tell her that I will call right now. All she's got to do is give me her number. Give me your number and I'll call you right now. I will call you right now. You get a number from her, Jason. Give her my email address. I don't care what it is. She wants to private message it to you, that's fine. If she wants to give you a Skype ID, tell her, give me that ID and we'll do this. Tell her we will do this. Because nothing destroys the collaborators and the helpers of white supremacy more than if you actually let them go ahead and talk. If you let her just go ahead and speak, that will tell you everything. And we need to make sure we take every opportunity to do that. Too many of you out here. I had somebody earlier today, they were saying that they're tired of fighting. You know what? The civil rights generation left all of us helpless today because they got tired of fighting. White supremacy does not tire. White supremacy says you're going to have to kill us to the very last one because we hate you. Black folk walk out there, fight for 2 good minutes, and then, okay, let's call it a day. And then can't figure out why you don't have any battles won. You can't figure out why you haven't won any battles, you haven't won any wars. Can't figure out why that's not occurring. It's not occurring because you ain't earned nothing. You have not earned anything. We got to get some battles won. We got to start putting some names on the board. We got to start getting some victories under our belts. Because they've got a strategy of trying to target us. And if they want to target us, then we need to let them know that, hey, we're not just going to sit back and watch that. We're not just going to sit back and watch that. Let me see if this is her on the line here. Caller from 843. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, Jason. It's Tobias calling out of Phoenix.
Tobias out of Phoenix. Welcome back to the Black Channel. What's on your mind?
Man, a lot about the one. Today, the beauty of social media is seeing how many of our people are lost and beaten down like a beaten dog. And also it comes to empire. I hear black people over and over again complaining about the images in the media. Then we say, hey, empire's not a good look for black people. What happens? Oh, you're hating. It's just entertainment. But the one thing I noticed is when I was in the military, a lot of white guys walked up to me and said, we are the first black people they saw in the flesh. The only image they got of black people on TV. And I just believe is that the day you look at Obama, because I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. It's a short drive from Selma. And I see all these people where I'm from is like, oh, Obama's in my city. My president's here. All he did was give another BS flowery speech, call us people of color again, included white women and gay people, illegal immigrants. And nothing's changed. Nothing's going to change. All we got is symbolism.
Oh, no, brother.
Like
No.
All black people care about is
Tobias.
Black, white.
He did much worse than that. For those of you who don't know about his speech in Selma today, he did much worse than that, and I posted that today. Barack Hussein Obama engraved his white supremacist worshiping credentials in stone today by stating that Ferguson does not mean that America has not changed since the days of Bloody Sunday in Selma, since the days of the murder of Dr. King and Medgar Evers and Fred Hampton. He said that Ferguson does not, things like, now Ferguson is a metaphor, because what you're really saying is Sanford, Ferguson, Cleveland, Long Island, Oakland, LA, New York. We can go down the list. So what he's really saying is that all this spree of unarmed black men getting killed, that means nothing. He said it means nothing. He said that all these unarmed black men getting killed does not mean that America is not a different place than it was back then. Now, he can go in a group of black folk and not get booed out of that place for saying that. That tells you just how brainwashed so many of us are and why they are afraid of what we're doing here, because you know, like I know, Tobias, that these are media creations. These are media creations. That what is media? Your ability to communicate. And right now we have an apparatus that does not communicate in our best interests. Now you got things like the Black Channel now, and what I do here, 7 a.m. has definitely turned out the numbers. For those of you who saw 7 a.m., you saw that Barack Obama also got a good mention in there as well, along with your other politicians and the civil rights era. Everybody got their turn. And what they are afraid to death of is that we are going to start changing the narrative. And you know what? I want to announce tonight officially, right here, this thing on, right here on this microphone, that I can officially state to you all tonight that the needle has begun moving. When Barack Obama's white handlers have to send him out to tell you that Ferguson don't mean nothing, they pulled out their big gun. Now, I mean, they pulled out the big one. They sent no less than the president to come and tell you that Ferguson don't mean nothing. Get back to picking the cotton. When they have to resort to that, brother, they are worried. They're worried. When AOL, Huffington Post, Black Voices has to come out like this against somebody like Boyce Watkins, you never had anything to say about him before now, and now here you come with this mess, brother, they are worried. They are worried.
They are. You know, it got me thinking, because Boyce Watkins is doing a lot of good things with that black world. And it got me thinking, because look at how Stephen A. Smith had to be out there cutting wrestling promos, apologizing because he upset one white woman. And you got all these people that white people choose, who they may get a nice paycheck, but they're own. And I told a friend of mine, I said, you hate this white guy, Bill Simmons at ESPN, but he's one of the most powerful people there because he found that 30 for 30 series that everyone likes in his own site, Grantland, which he employs a lot of people. I said, this man got the similar salary as Stephen A., but guess what? He owns 2 entities on his own. So ESPN not going to let that go. He owns that. And I just believe that we as a people, when I watch 7 a.m., and I'm not going to lie to you, some of those, I went to L.A. and watched it. I didn't know who some of those people were. I never heard of them. And that right there is a shame, and that's a shame on my part, but I'm glad that 7 a.m. brought those people to light. But the one thing that I also thought about, I watched that, and you see it here. And Brett Pulley brought up a good point where he said we keep respecting people what they did in the past, not what they did now. Well, you look at all those black politicians there. Yeah, they got in office. And for example, look how many black politicians are in Michigan. And you got a brother here, a black man getting railroaded for child support, and not one of them stepped up and said, no, we're not going to let this happen to this black man. No one said that. But if a white boy gets shot, all these politicians going to be there. Obama's going to cry. He's going to want to propose legislation. What do these black politicians tell us? Vote. Asians don't vote, but they got money to get stuff going their way. The money is in the money controls politics. Voting is nothing. Voting is nothing but like a placebo. That's all it is to me.
Now let me clarify one thing here. Asians do vote.
Yeah.
Asians do vote. Here's the difference, though. Asians actually give themselves something to vote for. And they give the politicians something to listen to. That's the difference. For everybody who lives in California, in places like San Mateo and San Francisco, and even now encroaching into LA, the Asians are flexing their muscles. The Asians are flexing their muscles now. The Filipinos, you got, like in San Mateo, the Filipinos run the yard in San Mateo. They run the yard. They run the yard. So, but they actually give their people something to vote for. There's only a few of them. Now, you have a large Vietnamese community in South Louisiana, in New Orleans. That was how the congressman became the first Vietnamese congressman there in New Orleans after Bill Jefferson got run out. And that is because they gave their people something to vote for. Black folk vote and don't even know why. We got a bunch of black folks saying, support Obama, he'll do nothing for you. That's a hell of a campaign slogan. Vote for me, I don't give a damn about you. Ooh, I like that. But if George Bush says it, oh, that's bad. And you can't name one thing that Barack Obama has done that George Bush wouldn't have done. Not one. Not a single thing. As a matter of fact, he's been worse. I think that George Bush would have been more tactful. Barack Obama has done some out-of-line mess that Bush never would have tried. He's done some out-of-line stuff that Bush never would have even attempted to do because he knows people would have immediately been all over him. And that's why he did it. And we keep allowing these people to get away with this. We keep allowing people to get away with this.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And one thing, living in Phoenix for the past 6 years, and I know you've been out here before, a lot of Mexicans here, and one thing they doing, there are parts of this town that's Mexico. They got their own Mexican grocery stores, barbershop, a majority Mexican school, their businesses, but all kind of stuff over there. And they even got their own version of a Mexican Best Buy called a Carousel in one of these malls, and they fill that place up all the time. And their grocery store may not be Albertsons, but it's theirs. And it's in their neighborhood, and their people are shopping there. And they're building their own. And I never heard a Mexican all the years I've been here refer to themselves as people of color or say black and brown.
And you've never heard the Asians do that either. Black people try to bring other people into us because we understand that we're weak and we want them to bring their strength to our cause. Here's the problem. Strength only joins with other strengths. Strength does not join with weakness. Now, weakness can join with weakness and strength can join with strength, but strength is not going to willingly join with weakness. And black folk want to remain weak and get other people to play our damn saviors. And these other people are not doing that. Do you know how many idiots and buffoons I had in our Facebook group? For those of you who are not members of our Facebook group, TMI, you can go look that up. Letters TMI. Great group to be a part of, by the way. I find myself posting in there more and more lately. We had a bunch of dudes, they were upset about what they heard Michelle Rodriguez say here last week. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, the actress Michelle Rodriguez had said that minorities need to stop stealing white people's superheroes. You got a black Johnny Storm, and they want to make they were offering, well, there was some rumor about Michelle Rodriguez being Green Lantern. And she was like, no, go create your own mythologies. Go create your own. And the reason for that is because this is another way of binding you. Of making you the damn bastard stepchild, and here you are happy to be it now. They have made you happy to be the bastard stepchild. You're up here, black folk do not want to be superheroes, they want to be Clark Kent. I don't want to be myself, I want to be him. And if you really want to test if it's a whitewashing, brother, because we all know that Superman has that little spit curl in front of his forehead, you go let a black person say they want to be Superman, watch them put the curl on their head, looking as ridiculous as Samuel L. Jackson in RoboCop with that preposterous wig on his head. But my point about it is that we don't want to be ourselves. We're trying to be the black face on a white identity. That's just how bound to it we are. And I had a bunch of dudes co-signing it, saying that she was wrong. She didn't know what she was talking about. Now, these are guys sitting right next to me talking about she's wrong for saying we should want our own superheroes. And you know why? It's because what they are exposing is, hey, I'm waiting for my chance to get called up to their big leagues, not my own. I don't want what black folk have isn't worth anything. I want to be a part of their machine, not this mess you talking about.
And it's by their rules, because everybody talk about a Black Panther movie. Yeah, the character's skin may be black, but it's still a white character because white people made it. And it's going to be a white studio putting that character out. So he's not going to be Mr. Black Empowerment that I don't want white people in Wakanda. It's going to be, please, Avengers, save me. That's what's going to happen. And my thing is that it took me a second to think about it when you're talking about that, and it got me thinking. Look what Robert Kirkland did with Walking Dead. His mythology, his image, don't even use the word zombie. And look how big that's gotten. And I forgot the guy's name who wrote Game of Thrones. That's his image. And we have so many other brothers out there made a fan-made Dragon Ball series, and it looks damn good. But we have so many people out here with the talent, but they want to keep hopping on, because you got to have a black Johnny Storm all day, but he will always be the white Johnny Storm. That character is always going to be white, and white people made it. Maybe that we have a black superhero that we make. It may not be as big as Batman or Superman, but it's ours, and we control that image. And I believe that we as a people keep looking at, we don't make as much money as the white man. We don't know that. And look what, we don't know we might make as much as the white man. But here's another thing as well. And this is part of 7 a.m. we talk about Carol's daughter. I didn't notice. The problem is, will that black person sell it to the highest bidder when the first sign of adversity hits? That's another problem.
we are trying to wedge ourselves and wedge ourselves into white society so badly that we're just giving up everything. We're just giving up everything. We don't care about anything. We want to give up everything. We do not care. We are not concerned with what we have to sacrifice. As long as if we can get in there, we'll be okay. And as you understand, Tobias, as you just articulated it, all they're doing is throwing in a black character because this is a money ploy. Because Fox has not been able. Fox is only making this Fantastic Four movie so they don't lose the rights to it. Not because any of the Fantastic Four movies have made money. They're just holding on to it in the hopes that one day it will. Sony is not making Spider-Man movies because they're making money anymore. The Spider-Man movies are really just breaking even for them now, which is why they're turning creative control back over to Marvel. They're doing it for the money. And they are putting in a black Johnny Storm simply because that's supposed to appeal to a wider, broad fan base. You couldn't replace Reed Richards. Wasn't going to do that because he's the leader. You're not going to replace Thing because he's the most popular one. I guess you wasn't going to make a black female as Sue Storm. We weren't going to go for that one. So her little brother Johnny, I wonder if this will be her little brother in here, by the way. I'm wondering how Johnny Storm is still Sue Storm's brother. I wonder how that's going to work. By the way, in case for those of you who don't know, that's supposed to be her brother now. Talk about the Dudley Boys. But I wonder how they're going to make that work. But in any case, his job is to deliver a broader audience. So that black folk who are tired of seeing the same old thing, his job is to deliver a broader audience. He is there to deliver black dollars. But ultimately, the dollars ain't going to him. They're going to the people who brought him there. And what will they do? In a little while, they'll cycle him out. They're just going to cycle him out. As a matter of fact, I think they're making this movie for the purpose of just having a one-off, and that's it. But ultimately, he will be cycled out. You will not get to stay. You will not get to stay at all. Now, Tobias, I want you to stay on the line here, okay?
Okay.
Stay on the line because this is caller from 804. Is this Chris?
You know it is, brother, a.k.a. the Surreal Wonder. How are you, Mr. TBA?
Surreal Wonder. We haven't heard from you in a while.
I still exist, my friend. I still exist.
Existence is a good thing when you can find it. Now, you were saying, I think you were misunderstanding the point in the chat room there, but you were saying something about the Black Panther cartoon being full of black characters.
Yes. I was simply saying, like, when he was describing, well, it was going to be made by a white director, white artist, and white scriptwriter. I simply mentioned, like, the Black Panther was filmed by Reginald Hudlin, which is a black guy who did a couple of other black movies, and he did a great job with the Black Panther animated series, and it was oozing with black pride. And I do get your point. I was just naming the example of a black director getting a hold of a good comic book character and showing him as a proud African man rather than a debased stereotype.
Okay, well, first of all, Reginald Hudlin, I don't consider him to be qualified to do this movie.
Okay.
Not taking any shots at anybody, and I'm not saying take the job away from him. What I am saying is Antoine Fuqua has chops at doing action movies. Reginald Hudlin, granted, he's been writing comic books for 10, 15 years. You know, he didn't just show up out of the ether one day, but I kind of question his ability to direct what essentially would be an action movie, which is a superhero movie. I kind of question his ability to do that. Now, let's just say that is not an issue at all. Let's just say it's not an issue at all. Here is the problem, Surreal, and this is the point that Tobias was making and Michelle Rodriguez was making and I was making. Here is the problem. Who owns Black Panther?
Marvel.
Who controls Black Panther?
Marvel.
who's going to pass Black Panther down?
Marvel.
Even if Black Panther is serving, even in a tertiary way, even if it is serving some sort of redeeming interest today, brother, we've been down this road before. The Cosby Show, A Different World. We've been down this road before. Oprah,
Yeah, absolutely.
BET. We've been down this road before. Essence, a black face on a white product. So here's the problem. No matter how good a job Reginald Hudlin does, what does that do for the black community as a whole? And how do you prevent Disney, who owns Marvel, how do you prevent Disney with their track record on black folks, Song of the South, how do you prevent Disney from coming along in a later generation and bastardizing Black Panther? How do you prevent them from doing that?
Right. I'm sorry.
Now, understand something.
Brother, you're absolutely right.
This is the rap music strategy. We as black people let white society and white corporations come into our midst. We let them grab a character, put a black face on it, or come and take something that belongs to us, and then we let them pull the strings. And they're like, hey, there's no problem. We love this thing. It's great. It's wonderful. We just came to give you some help with it. Now, if you refuse to accept their, quote, help, all of a sudden they don't want you around. And if you do accept their, quote, help, ultimately it winds up being them telling you what to do, which is what happened with Antoine Fuqua, F. Gary Gray. You get the point now. The executives come. Understand something. Reginald Hudlin is not writing this movie. It is executives writing this movie. And they chose him because he's safe. Let's just be totally honest about it. Where are these spin-off characters from Black Panther? Now, I haven't picked up a comic book.
Right.
I haven't picked up a comic book in many moons. Black Panther was created by Jack Kirby back in the late 60s. Somewhere around there, late 60s, early 70s. Black Panther was created by a white man, Jack Kirby. The Falcon, Jack Kirby. Battlestar. We can go down the list. These were all creations of white men from decades ago. Here's the question, brother. Where are the new ones? Blade, creation of Marv Wolfman, decades ago. But you notice they ain't hurting themselves to make a bunch of new black characters in their movies or in their comic books. They're not making spin-off characters from the world of Wakanda. There is one black superhero from the African continent, and that is, well, if you don't count Storm, that is Black Panther. They're not doing with Black Panther what they do with literally every other character. Spin-offs, derivative characters, they don't do any of that. Blade. In the Blade movies, there were no spin-off characters. Oh, I'm sorry. There were going to be some spin-off characters. What's her name? Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds from the Blade trilogy, Blade Trinity. They were going to make a spin-off for them, and then Wesley got jammed up, and they decided they went off in different directions for those two people. But there was going to be a spin-off from Blade, all right. The two white characters. Did you notice they never developed any black characters? There was a black woman who was with Blade in the first movie. And understand, Wesley Snipes had a lot of say in the first movie. If you take a look, he's even one of the producers. Wesley Snipes had a lot of say in that first movie. He had no say.
Dark-skinned black woman.
Dark-skinned black woman. And Sana Lathan, who was lighter but and whatnot. We didn't have that really light motor oil colored thing that they usually like so much. But by the time you got to that third movie, Wesley Snipes was the only black man to be seen. Except a cameo, I think, by the chief of police. They always make us the token chief of police. By that third movie, they had completely whitewashed everything. By that third movie, Wesley Snipes was the only black person left. To be totally honest, Wesley was the only black person. Blade 1 was the only movie that had any type of black presence in it. Blade 2 and 3, Wesley Snipes was a black man in a white world. And
I never noticed, and I love those movies.
And most of us do, but they hooked you with that first one. Well, that first one is safe. And by the time they made that turn, you didn't even know they had made it. And you're sitting there going along for the ride, waxing nostalgic about movie number one, because they know, as we said, black folk are eternally grateful. We are so overjoyed to be recognized, to have our existence recognized, that if anybody recognizes our existence, man, we will bend over backwards, forward, and sideways for them. We will do anything for that recognition.
It's a damn shame. And you're so right. It's like all black people love black movies because they are black movies. It doesn't even matter if it's a bad black movie. As long as you have like 3 prominent black actors in it that we can identify easily, we love it and we cherish it. Bad movies.
90 seconds.
How much of us haven't seen Soul Plane 5 times?
And I'm telling you that rap music, you've seen this template. You've seen it with rap.
Yeah.
You've seen it with BET. If they want the only reason they're making the Black Panther movie is because there was a lot of public outcry for it. We'll see what it finally ends up looking like. But my real thing about that is that as time goes on, you're going to have an opportunity to see what's really going on with this. You're going to have an opportunity to actually judge exactly what's happening with this. And what I'm telling you is that this always turns out the same way. There's going to be a turn. There's going to be a turn, but you look for that movie to look like every other one. You take a look at Hancock. Did much better than Superman, Man of Steel, and Batman Begins, and ain't nobody talked to Will Smith about a sequel for Hancock. Now they are talking about making Will Smith a white man, Deadshot, for a Suicide Squad movie. I mean, I'm not joking. Will Smith, for those of y'all, you've seen the headlines for it there. Will Smith is supposed to be Deadshot in the, they're making a Suicide Squad movie, and Will Smith is supposed to be Deadshot. So understand that didn't take long for that turn to happen. They're not going to make They're not going to make new black characters. That's not what they're going to do. They are not going to sit here and make more black characters and spin them off the way they do with the white ones. They're not going to do that. We've seen this formula before. They use us to gain an audience, and after they've gained the audience, then all of a sudden, we're on the side of a milk carton. All of a sudden, we disappear.
I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
You've seen this movie before. You've seen this movie before. I mean, you've seen this. We have all seen this happen before, where they bring us in at the beginning, and then they make this swerve, and next thing you know, after they make the swerve, all of a sudden, we get thrown out the car. It swerved around the corner, and our white benefactors who were in the back seat, as soon as we hang this corner over here, we get flung out, and they're behind the wheel. How the hell that happened? And we keep doing it over and over again. Who's the biggest rapper in Detroit?
Movie I've ever heard.
Yeah, who's the biggest rapper in Detroit? Now they don't say he's the greatest rapper in the world. Are you kidding me? We keep falling for this. That they put a black face out there, brother. The Black Panther movie is for the purposes of avoiding criticism. They made over almost $2 billion off that first Avengers movie. They can throw you a $20 or $30 million bone. And that's why they got a black director, because they know that black directors work with smaller budgets better than white directors do. So they're going to throw him a bone, and he's going to go make some little old movie, and we don't know if there'll ever be another one made again. And if it's not, oh well, we'll just tuck him in the Avengers. That's it. That's it. But they're making that for the one purpose only, to avoid the criticism that you don't have any prominent black heroes. They're going to tell you that they made a Black Panther movie, and then the next time you try to bring that subject up, they're going to say, we've got plenty. We got Blade, we got Black Panther, we got the Falcon. Now get out of our faces.
Yep, the token.
What you will not have is something that you own, control, and can pass down. What you will not have is something that you get to decide what happens with it. What you will not have is something that will be benefiting you long term. Watch what I tell you. It always happens the same. They are going to stick a white character next to Black Panther. They're going to. They're going to. It will happen. Right. They're going to stick a white character next to him, and next thing now in white movies, the black character stays the sidekick. In movies with black characters, the white guy turns into the savior at some point.
Yeah, I do feel what you're saying, man. They did the same thing with the Pirates of Dark Water back in like the 1990s. It was like an all-black cast, but if they didn't make the hero protagonist Ren with blonde hair and blue eyes, would have never made the airwaves.
Well,
had to whiten it up for the kids.
they've learned
So I
that,
do
and
get your
the
point, brother.
playbook doesn't change. They just keep looking to see how
doesn't.
short our attention span is. But the playbook doesn't change. So they brought Reginald Hudlin out here. Well, his purpose is to do what? To deflect criticism. Well, you can't say
what,
that
brother?
we're not giving opportunities to black people. Look at Reginald Hudlin. Reginald Hudlin's been doing this for 15 years. Who do you have new? Who's new?
You know what? You're right. They're letting like one guy per 10 years, and one of them is Lee Daniels. But you know what? You showed me a lot with that crowdfunding thing. We don't need them. We just need the names of the talented guys in our community that has like a Patreon or a crowdfunding source, because we can all pass the hat around, because I know that I'm not the only guy with a couple of bucks that wants to see black cartoons and black movies.
Well, it'll be up to us to, first of all, to recognize that. And second of all, for us to get up and do something about it. We need people who are thorough. We need some people who are complete. You know what we really need? We need a crowdfunding of talent.
You're right.
Because that's what white guys are doing. You know, like with Ed Burns. You know, he's got a sound guy, he's got a video guy, and he's the director. And that's how he makes his low-budget movies. It's just the 3 or 4 of them. And that's it. Nobody gets paid up front. Nobody gets paid up front. They all invest in it, and they get paid on the back end. And in black society, we need to start doing that, because you got folk who've been to film school. You got people who know cinematography. We need to get together on that level. We'll get a lead actor and a lead actress. We only pay the people that we have to. But like your cinematographer and your sound guy and the director and the leads, that everybody agrees that, you know, we're going to put our talents into this, but everybody gets paid on the back end when we've actually made something out of it, so that we can use all of our resources to promote it. Because that's where we lack at.
Well, I'm saying that we're on Facebook and Twitter. As a matter of fact, you said most of black people are on Facebook and Twitter, so why can't we get the word out like that?
Well, we can.
Make that a trending topic.
We can, but we usually are putting up videos from World Star Hip Hop and whatnot. We can do it, brother. We have not made up our minds to do it. And other people are not. These people, Marvel is never going to encourage us to make our own characters. They will never do that. Marvel, as long as you are complaining about how Marvel ignores you, Marvel says you're still a customer.
You're right. Matter of fact, does Wayne Riley have a Patreon or a crowdsourcer? Because I've seen what he does, and he's really good. He's really talented. I wouldn't mind backing him with my dollars.
Well, he's had one already, but here's the real thing. Wayne and Chris and other fellas like that, more than money, in my opinion, they need other talented black men to work with them, so they can put out a bang product that really has legs to it. That's what really needs to happen. We really need to put out a good product, something that's really polished and whatnot. And like I said, that's something I would help with. As far as, you know, distribution or theatrical or whatever, that's something that we should help with and make sure we give them as broad an audience as possible. But this going to these folk with our hands out and begging for some crumbs to be flicked off the table, we gotta stop that. We gotta stop that, because they're never going to give us anything that benefits us. They're gonna give us something that benefits them. They're not gonna give us anything that benefits us. They're just gonna throw something out there that at worst is gonna swerve. I mean, at worst, it's going to do nothing for us. And at best, it'll benefit us for one movie. Or at least it'll actually focus on us for one movie. And by the second movie, they'll begin the whitewashing. And next thing you know, by the time they get to movie number 3, we have been completely removed and erased. And they've spun off some white characters. And that's it. And we've seen this before. They keep doing it. Will Smith in Hancock. They slammed him next to Charlize Theron. Will Smith in Wild Wild West slammed him next to whoever the guy is.
Yeah, you had to have a white sidekick for the Porky Pig role, aka comic relief, or the white validity for it to have a mass appeal to audiences.
Yeah,
Same
but I
thing
mean,
with, Hitch.
But yeah, exactly. But I mean, you see, they keep. But here's my thing: is you see the pattern of behavior. Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Django Unchained.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
We keep falling for this. Blade, with what's his name, Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, you have to have Chris Christopherson, or else it'd be a black movie. And we know how white people feel about black movies for the majority.
Yeah, because you might not see race, but they do.
Yeah, they do. I'm just thinking, wow, it's a good movie with two black actors. They're like, oh, I want to go near that black thing. They have too much black subjects and black things I can't relate to.
Yeah, Friends is not a white show, but Living Single is a black show, even though Friends was based on Living Single. So, like I say, brother, we don't see it, but they do. We've seen this pattern of behavior. It's not going to take them very long to remove you from the scene altogether, whether it's your TV shows or whatever. I'm telling you, like I say, I'm telling you that at best, what will you end up with at best? A successful franchise for Disney, who, after they do this first movie and give him $30 or $40 million to make it, they'll be back for a second movie of $30 or $40 million. What they will not be trying to do is build Black Panther into a character whose popularity rivals Captain America or Thor. They are not going to be doing that. That's not the purpose.
Yeah, you just find him in he'll just find a bunch of Black Panther cartoons in the bargain bin of Walmart. You didn't even know they came out. I know what you're speaking on, brother.
So like I say, I don't want Reginald to fail, and I don't want a Black Panther movie to fail. That's not what I want. What I'm saying is don't mistake this for anything other than what it is. If we want something, brother, we got to build it. If we want something that we can actually trust, because as Tobias knows this, and you know this too, Surreal, as black people, we keep outsourcing the telling of our story. We keep outsourcing it to white corporations, white writers, the NWA movie, white directors, David Ayers. We keep outsourcing our story. No other ethnic group in the world has a media apparatus that is controlled by white people. I put up a story just the other day that said that China's box office, if you don't count Canada, has for the first time ever, the Chinese box office surpassed the American box office in, I think it was January. The Chinese box office made more money than the American box office. 40 years after Bruce Lee. Those seeds that he planted back then are blooming. And they are, white folk come to them with their hat in hand. Ain't that right, Netflix, Marco Polo? They come to them with hat in hand because the Chinese control it and they will not let you in to control their stories. Same thing with Telemundo and Univision. Latinos control it and they will not let white people come in and tell their stories. Black folk, where's my Black Panther movie? Where's my Blade movie? Where's my Falcon movie? We're the only people who are comfortable outsourcing the telling of our stories to non-black people. Well, you got Reginald Hudlin. Reginald Hudlin is an employee. And he will not put anything in that movie that is not approved by his employers.
You're right. The only reason why the Black Panther cartoon got made the way it was because I heard online or from what I read that a lot of the higher-ups didn't see the script. And they okayed a lot of the budgeting because it was just based on the fact that a lot of the Marvel things were making a whole lot of money. But when they saw what he was doing and how the cartoon was presented, they buried it. They shoved it straight to Australia, which was the only place it was aired in the world. And then 3 to 4 years later, they brought it to America in Netflix, no advertisement. They buried it. So I have no idea what they're going to do with Reginald Hudlin on such a big spotlight because I know he can't do it like he did the cartoon because too much eyes are watching.
And they are not going, ultimately, brother, you must remember this, remember this, remember this. It never changes. Remember this.
Never.
They are never going to approve a project that does not enhance their power, wealth, and influence. They're not going to give black people money to enhance black people's power, wealth, and influence. That's not going to happen. If they're approving a budget for this thing, and if they're greenlighting it, it's because they are going to make sure it enhances theirs. The fact that you had to drag them kicking and screaming so long should be your proof to let you know they're watching every move you make, and they're going to make sure that whatever makes it to that screen, big ups them, not us.
You ain't lying. It's going to be the whitest Black Panther ever.
Well, even if it's not, it'll get there. Even if it starts out okay, it will eventually get there.
Dog crying shame, man.
I'll let you have the last word.
Awesome. shoot, I appreciate me being on the show, and all my brothers out there, man. If you guys need some extra ways to make money, try eBay. Go in your closets. It's what the white people do. They don't get part-time jobs. They go to eBay, they set up a PayPal account, and then they get extra hundreds of dollars. I do it all the time. God bless you guys.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for joining us here. Tobias, I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I'm glad you helped that brother out there. One thing I would say is that black people, we got to stop looking at symbolism, stop looking at action.
Yes.
For example, the Black Panther. His character in that country is about protecting some fictional resource. If you guys don't know fictitious resource, you guys don't know that made Wolverine claws and Captain America's shield. And they protected it, and they ain't let nobody into their land. So you know when that movie comes out, they're going to make it so they begging white people for help. That's what's going to happen. And he also married Storm in the comics. They're not going to tell that story either. They probably have him marry Rogue or somebody. And the issue is that black people, we can't complain unless we start owning and controlling our own media. Even if it's on Netflix, it's no big deal. And I say this last thing. When I went to see 7 a.m. in L.A., Beverly Hills, one of the most whitest places on earth, that showed you that, hey, if you give them money, they'll put it there. And that was the first thing that crossed my mind was, hey, it's one of the whitest places on the planet here, but it's a move about black empowerment, and he gave them the money came through, and the white folks put it there. No issues.
Yeah,
and
there were issues.
You got to stop coming with people with no money.
Well, there were issues actually. It was kind of janky out there and everything. No, I understand. We're a professional operation. For that reason, we don't. The issue, you all just see the final product. We know the issues as they came in. Like I say, they didn't have our posters up when they were supposed to. The posters arrived 2 days earlier. They put them up like an hour after people started showing up. We had to tell them, where are our posters? We sent posters here. You ain't got none of our posters up. So things like that, brother. So it's not that they went off without a hitch. It's just that we did it like it's supposed to. But you are absolutely right. And what you say about Black Panther and Storm, I don't think that's going to happen because Storm is over there at Fox with the X-Men.
Yeah.
Now, it may be that they can do a Quicksilver because Quicksilver is at Fox with the X-Men, but because Quicksilver was also an Avenger, Marvel gets to use him over there at Disney. So that's why you have a Quicksilver at Disney and a Quicksilver at Fox. They may do the same thing with Storm. Who knows? They may do that. Here's my real point. What you said about him ultimately ended up begging white people to save him. Well, guess what? There was a cartoon that did that. Actually, there's already been one with Black Panther. There's already been a cartoon where I think it's the Avengers go to Africa, and him and his people.
It was the Ultimate Avengers Part 2. Yeah,
I think the aliens come, and next thing we know, before it's over, he needs the Avengers to come save their bacon and whatnot. So, like I say, it's one of those things where if it doesn't start there, it'll eventually get there. Even if it starts out okay, you will eventually get there.
Yep. And that's a shame. And it's like, even like with this Empire stuff, and I bring up the black people all the time on, I see these groups I'm in, and I get yelled at and say, oh, it's just entertainment. It's just TV. Hey, why are you hating? And I said, so what's the difference between it's a sorority sisters? Well, all the same black people complaining about that show are cool with this. And I say, look at this. I say, you idiots actually don't believe Cookie is going to win a damn Emmy. You really believe that Terrence Howard and Taraji Henson are going to restart their careers on this mess right here?
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Tobias. The problem is, it could happen. That's the problem.
That's the bad part.
The problem is, it could happen. Terrence Howard or Miss Henson could end up getting an Emmy. After all, Halle Berry got an Oscar for doing what with Billy Bob Thornton? She got an Oscar for that. Denzel got an Oscar for being a slave and being the most thuggish, corrupt cop in the world. So if you don't believe that they will award black people for cooning and buffooning on the biggest show of their evenings, if you don't believe they'll do that, brother, you got to go back and check your history. They got a track record of doing this. Hattie McDaniels. We can go down the list.
And you know, the part that kills me is, and you're right, because I didn't even think about that. And the part that kills me is that they keep complaining about the images, but when they watch on TV, they come out in droves. What do you think these white people are going to do? You coming out in droves supporting this. You post on social media, making empire parties. And to be honest, they ain't building a damn empire on a damn show. Like, just be honest with you. And but it's just that they are so consumed with just having a black face in front of a camera that they don't care how they get there. They don't care how they represent the community. Because I know you remember this when Jersey Shore first came out, that Italian Americans came out there and said very quickly they don't represent Italian Americans. And I didn't hear too many Italians saying, "Oh, that's just TV."
Same thing with The Sopranos.
But yeah, I'm sorry.
Same thing with The Sopranos.
Yep.
But black people are, like I say, these are other ethnic groups who are producing. They're actually building something. And people who are actually building something do not induct counterproductive things and counterproductive influences into their midst. Black folk are not actually building anything, so black people have this consumer mindset. The problem with being a consumer is that you're constantly looking for new things to consume. And that includes junk food. That includes garbage. And since the only thing they're feeding you is empire, that's what you're eating. I'll let you have the last word.
Oh, I just want to say, hey, finally got a chance to call in, and I just want to tell you that 7 a.m., the trip to L.A. was worth it, and met some good people there, got some change of information, and that opened my mind on a lot of things there. And
well, before
got me motivated to.
Let me ask you something.
Start getting business stuff. Yeah.
Let me ask you something now, because like I say, I haven't gotten to speak to a whole lot of people on the broadcast here about 7 a.m. as far as people who went to go see it. So you went to L.A. to go see 7 a.m. First of all, before anything else, when at the end of the movie, now you saw 7 a.m., so you'll know what I'm talking about. When you saw the dedication at the end of the movie, when that point, after that point, how did you? Now that you had seen the movie, how did you feel? What was your impression after seeing it?
I had a combination of being, excuse my language, pissed off, and a part, what the hell was I doing in my life? And I was taught wrong.
Explain.
That getting a good job, that's nice and all, but you're not gonna get rich being an employee. And I tell you this, I watched this cause I had some downtime, so I watched this documentary on Netflix. They were talking about like the men who made America. They were talking about Carnegie. You probably saw Carnegie and Rockefeller and those guys. All the great men in history, the white people prop up, are entrepreneurs. They weren't employees. And it's just a bunch of guys with an idea, and they got rich off of it. And people needed it, and they sold it to them, and they got rich and wealthy. And it's just that we get told to go to college. We don't get told what to go to college for as a people. We get sent to college with no money as a people. My sister had a college paid for. I joined the military. But we get told to go to college with no money. But we got kids, every time you look up with new Jordans and PlayStations and all that stuff, but when it comes to college, they have no money, no direction. But you got white kids with direction, and you got white parents who are fretting every day how to put money into their college fund or start a business. And it just showed me is that, one, we're not organized. Also, the Negro Leagues. Look at what happened there. And every time we get a bill at the Carol's daughter woman, I forgot her name, we sell out. I don't remember the Ford selling out when they had that issue in the late 2000s. They had to get bailed out. But we as a people, it just had me thinking, why aren't we having our own economic Why aren't we having our own grocery stores? If we go buy Air Jordans, at least let it be from a damn black store. That's just how I believe. Cause I say this real quick. I got relatives in my hometown, Montgomery, Alabama. The west side is like the poor side. Mostly black people live there. I hear so many of my relatives complain like, "Oh, don't white folks gonna put business on the east side where the white night the money's at, or they don't put nothing there. They want to put nothing here." And I asked them, "What's stopping you guys from putting up a grocery store here? The building is still there. What's stopping you guys put your money together?" But now I said you guys are willing to burn your gas and your time to drive to the other side of town to buy food from a person who doesn't give a crap about you.
That is the definition of institutionalized.
When I watch 7 a.m.
That kind of behavior is the definition of institutionalized.
Mm-hmm.
When you are behaving in a manner that is counterproductive to yourself but is habitual, you've been institutionalized. You are doing what's in the best interest of other people because you've been conditioned, not what's in the best interest of yourself. Now, what did you think about the quality of the filmmaking itself?
Man, that was on point. It was on point. And I'm talking about HD footage. It was put in a nice area where the parking was right by the theater, because I'd never been at Beverly Hills before, so, hey, it was a nice short walk. Nice theater. The film itself, the sound quality was great. The film, the presentation was great.
Now, there's a reason why I'm asking all this, everybody. I'm not just doing this because I'm trying to get an ego boost off or anything. I've already talked to people about that. The real thing is because I want him to validate that for you all. Now, I don't know. Have you seen Hidden Colors?
Oh, yeah. I've seen the first 3.
Okay. Was 7 a.m. just a rehashing of what you saw in Hidden Colors?
It was his own different film.
Now, even with Dr. Anderson and whatnot, and this is all important, and the reason why it's important is because we're not just sitting here just rehashing something you've seen before. Tariq is touching on the social and historical aspect of it. We're touching on the socioeconomic portion of it. Everybody playing their position, and not just playing it, but playing it well. Playing the position and playing it well. That's the kind of thing that I want us to look for. That's the kind of thing that I want us to start valuing, because we have a way of putting out a janky product and then saying, okay, well, that'll be all right. We have a way of doing that, and we need to let that go. We need to start raising our standards for that. That's the kind of thing I want. So I wanted to put out something that was worthy of it, and that was worth your while. That's the kind of thing that I wanted to do. So I hope that we succeeded at that. I
was impressed, and I was impressed, and because it looked like you was watching one of those Netflix documentaries, or like a movie, like the big budget movie. How good the quality was to me, and I was very impressed by that, because I was expecting a good product anyway. At least you made the film you said you was gonna make, and
well, that's helpful.
And yeah, that's all I got to say. And but that shows right there. And see, and I listened to this stuff, and I listened to what you're saying, and I said, hey, I'm gonna pay to go out here, fly out there, check it out, rent a room, rent a car, and all that stuff. But it's worth it, because I traveled for Alabama football games before. And so if I could travel for a football game, you best believe I could travel for the black empowerment and to learn something. And that's why I said, like, I'm playing my role now. As soon as I got back, I went on school. I found some mentors, like, for business and learning, because I found it's like being an employee. Yeah, you get a retirement, but they're cutting that now. You don't control your destiny, you get laid off, and finding a job, there's too many hoops you got to jump through to just find a job, and you're really underpaid as well as an employee.
But do you know why?
Now.
But do you know why? The reason why there are so many damn hoops to jump through when you're looking for a job is because we are the people who do not have our own economy. We are trying to find a job within someone else's economy, not within our own. So we're not competing for resources amongst ourselves. We are looking at the resources that white people have gathered together. White people are competing with each other for those resources, and we're trying to muscle our way into their dog bowl to try to fight for the resources they've cobbled together. No wonder our unemployment stays 2 or 3 times higher than everybody else's. Because we're trying to gather resources in somebody else's yard instead of gathering the resources in our own. So if we build our own economy, we'll be like the Asians talking about what unemployment problem? We don't have an unemployment problem. You got one. We don't have one. Yeah. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I'll say this. Because I got in the Air Force, I got out and I got a job as a recruiter, and I'm going to be independent in the next 2 or 3 years. I got a plan for that. Now, I'm just going out to learn the ins and outs of the industry, how it works from there. But then I looked online, and you got white women on YouTube saying, I made this money just being an at-home independent recruiter with my list of contacts and my computer and a fax machine and a phone. If they could do that, why the hell can't I? And I'll say this last thing. We got white people with talent on YouTube making money by sharing recipes and getting money from that. And I know we got a lot of black people that can cook. Now, I'm not talking about like that coon who was up there putting meat and chicken in the sink. I'm talking about people with talent. You can make money off all this stuff, but it takes a chance. You got to take a chance. And you actually do control your destiny more of a business than you do of a job. And I'll say this last thing, Jason. The military was cutting people. We had people get cut from the military last year in the Air Force. People came to work a day. Commander said, I see us in the office. They cut people. And those white guys were crying. So what do you think they're going to do to your black behind? At least those white guys got some networks. They got some companies to go to. What about you black people? That's all I have, TBA.
Thank you very much for joining us here, brother, and please do give us a call here again. I'll try to take one more call before I close this up because there's something I have to go check on here. Jason sent me some information, so let me see. Caller from 770, you're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 770, last try, you're on live with the Black Channel. Okay, caller from 770 is comatose. All right. Well, brothers and sisters, I've been given a phone number that Jason says is from Miss Howard. So what I'm going to do is I need to set this up so that I can see about making that phone call here. And we'll definitely have her on and we'll get her to give her side of the story. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Let me see. Give us about 5 minutes here. I'll see about because I got to change this over if I'm going to be calling out. Give us about 5 minutes here, and we'll see about setting that up here for you, okay? Of course, you're just going to be okay. Thank you very much for your patience, brothers and sisters, and we will be back.